wait till tomorrow to get the basically early New Year's. That's not the right thing. Welcome, Farzia. Welcome to a very late stream. Uma, and actually might end up being Uma. But, oh, man. I didn't look it up yet. I have not looked it up yet. Really, to be fair, I'm not like kind of gaming to try to look it up right now. I'll definitely get it to you, silly, just whenever my brain decides to remember. So like I said, I just think that you just, if you probably looked hard enough, you'd probably find it. But I'm just warning you, you don't want to. Plus, there's enough terrible things going on right now that I'm just like. I got cuckoo and fake grand order or not. It helped in my depression after the name change. Okay. What's good? Oh, that's what FGO is. My brain. Hey, my dude. Welcome, Crispy. Welcome. Yes, welcome tonight. Welcome. I'm not sure actually what we're doing tonight. Like, part of me is like probably Uma just because I'm very tired. I had a huge headache this morning. For most of the day, I've been just drinking my coffee, just trying to let my brain subside. And by the time things kind of got wrapped up, and I kind of got to a point where I knew I could focus a little bit better. Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's real late. I mean, we could still do more if everyone ends up preferring we rather do that. It's not like I don't have my PS5 control ready to go if we need it. We could also play ATS. Or Uma. Now, I know most people probably say Uma. But playing Cat Quest 3 today was free. Oh, nice. Cat Quest pretty cool. I haven't played one of those two in a long time. What Farseer said? Sealy, should I tell him who they added? What happened? What happened? What's going on? Who they add to what? Y'all talking about FGO, Arknight? We gotta be specific at this point. FGO, Arknights, Uma. Technically, even at this point, Total War 40k could come out and have another faction alert all of a sudden. Total War 4. Children of Morty was free also. Nice. I already have that game. That was a good game. I actually recommend that. It's not easy. Be warned. It is a top-down isometric kind of hack and slash kind of game. Kind of also plays a little bit like Shadow of the Colossus, but top-down. Pretty good game, though. Pretty good game. The Beast of the what? Are not one of the strongest servants of fake grand orders. I have heard that, to be fair. Alright. Oh, man. See, I'm in technical brain right now. Just want to warn you right now, chat. I'm in, like, technical mode right now because I've been... I'm gonna let everyone know, and this first year's probably gonna laugh at this because you'll probably get this, but when I'm like like at night, I tend to chill and don't watch anything too high octane. Like I don't watch my updates and I don't watch my political streamers and people I do for information, or at least just to keep caught up. Even if I kind of do my, even if I have my own, as we all have our own setup for an opinion on things. But when it comes to basics, most of the time the one that I watch is pretty right, pretty on the nose, as they say. But that being said, that it's like when I have a headache, I tend to watch. I tend to watch a certain bon and I tend to just watch, like, I tend to, like, just backfeed anything I've missed. And boy, there was a lot today. And plus, I watch a lot of other stuff. Like I said, I've thrown these names out before. I watch Legendary for video game stuff, and also, what is Bellar? Bellar, I think it's Bellar News or Bellar Games. He's more of the British side of things, but you know, he's for the video gaming side of things and things like that. Technical brain is on fire today. I'm just gonna put that out. I'm just warning everyone now. FGO did delve into stuff back in Camelot, are not technical. Then what does the fish say to the bear? Nothing, of course. They can't speak unless they. Silly. I'm about to use you as bait and ice fishing. like ooh. This is why I wanted to do a vlog, because I need to kind of have the flow. Tough crowd. Oh man, the way you summon that Zerma is not normal. It shuts up. Wait. It shuts off your summoning and summon itself. I mean, that makes sense. That sadly makes sense. Oh man, so much. So it's just so much coincidence. And once again, the stuff that I think about and talk about, I'll never not truly touch too hard on stuff overseas. Now I have my opinions about certain things. And things that I laughed at on a certain press conference I watched. I actually watched the live version of like a presidential press conference for here, for our president, with meeting with a certain president from over very far away from us right now. I actually had to give props back in the other direction because I'm a little bit annoyed. I'm not going to say why. We're not going to go too deep in the well if I can help it. But once again, brain on fire right now, so it might be unavoidable in some places. Especially things that are more direct at home. But, it's just, I had to laugh and actually put a little bit of winning points on the, the other side of that stage, because my brain went... He was shaking his head and he laughed real hard to himself, like his face, the reaction he had. Even I had to go that reaction because I'm like, bruh, come on, big guy. There's no way you think any of us think that makes sense. Anyways. It's like, let's see, Neebs Gaming is my go-to. Neebs Gaming, I'll have to look that up. I've never heard of that one, but I could check it out. Ryun has her at NP... Wait, Ryun plays that game too? Dang. I'm out of the loop, man. I don't play that many gachas compared to everybody, but I do enjoy them. At least the ones that are more fun and enjoyable, like gameplay-wise, and actually have some meat on the bone. Because then the gacha system doesn't really bother me that much. If it's really, really cruel, it still will bug me, but I can ignore it to a certain extent if the gameplay in the game is actually fun. Because that's kind of the point of a game at the end of the day. It's supposed to be a game. It's really no deeper than that. Uh-oh. Did my thing cut out? Don't do this tonight. How is stream looking on y'all's end, chat? Before I continue any further, just because I have to add another part to this. Also, if you ever see me cut off, and I'm hoping to say this and it's not doing it right now, if you ever see me just cut off out of nowhere, it's because my internet's being a little flunky. I know who I'm ending this next month. I've made my decision. But even if the other does turn out to be more expensive, I'm now having some actual technical, physical problems with something I've noticed. And I need this to be more sustainable in this way. Now, maybe it'll happen to the other one when I plug it into it. I need to do one more test. But I can't do that during the middle of the night, in the middle of the stream. So our next vlog, which since tomorrow will be James... Let me bring up my calendar, make sure I'm not being... I'm very also kind of tired, kind of mentally right now. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be James, because he said he's going to have Tuesday. Because he sent me a message on PlayStation, I sent a thumbs up back. He said he's going to have this day off, and of course New Year's Eve, which he already told me of. So these will probably be Baldur's Gate days. The night of New Year's Eve, I'm going to play that by ear, because obviously I'm going to chill probably with my mother. And we're going to probably do what we always do. Maybe watch something on the TV of the ball dropping or something. Who knows? I'll probably have one of my eggnog mixtures that I've got saved up in the fridge. Just chill and enjoy that. But as far as streaming, during the day, unless we end up going for somewhere for some reason, because I actually will probably get paid that day. Because this is the first. And I usually get paid a day early with the way my system works. So, I think it's just the way my bank does it. So, no, because normally it would be on the 1st, and then the 3rd. But, yeah. So, I mean, it depends on what we decide to do that day. But most likely, which is why I'm kind of glad James will be here tomorrow, so we can kind of do something tomorrow, just in case something changes for New Year's Eve. And me and my mom decided to go out somewhere as a family, or something like that. Who knows? But sorry, I've been chewing on the Ethernet. Well, yeah, seriously, stop that. Stop chewing on the wires, dude. I'm telling you. See, I've got the Thanos glove on right now. I am in full on guardian lion armor right now. But if my stream does ever cut off like that for some reason on the current setup I'm running tonight, do note that I will, if it comes back up, I will immediately start a new stream. I never just stop a stream like that. Usually that's because something happened that was out of my control. So always know that. Going forward, for anyone watching, if it just stops... Yeah, that wasn't me. Because I have no reason to do that. And I'll let you know if I'm decided I just can't handle the rest of the stream. Like, everyone has their limits, no matter who it is out there. It's like, especially with the craziness that we all have to put up with these days. It's like I said, a certain someone I watch shows off a lot of that crazy we all have to deal with. And it's like, and... boy, does it get deep now. And I'm like, bruh, I'm actually kind of happy at least that something is going on. One good positive out of this, if we do decide to go down that rabbit hole at some point, is that progress is being made in a good way, in the right direction finally. I just don't know if it's going to be that fast yet. So, but that's all that anyways, but I wanted to go over the schedule, make sure everyone knew. But we will I want to test the other side of that spectrum, because it'll be the last day before the month flips over. On the, actually I might do this, maybe I'll try to do this after we stream with James tomorrow. I'm going to flip over my computer's internet, because I didn't realize it's actually running on my Spectrum. It's not on my other, which is Windstream. It's the two companies that run this region for, mostly. There's others, but I would say out of all of them, those two are probably, even good or bad, they're just going to provide you the best overall resource. If you're trying to just make sure you have some sort of connection to be able to get on the internet and get what you need. between the two right now, I'm starting to see some backfeed happening with, and maybe there's something going on I don't know about the Spectrum side. I don't know. It could be millions of things. That's why it's not necessarily good or bad. It's just at the moment, the other one is so far holding its own way better again than this one is. But we'll see. It really depends. I will have like I'll know, and like I said, it's when it comes to these kinds of services, and this is what I've always said, never fully commit to one fully 100%. Even if I go away from one temporarily, it doesn't mean eventually I won't go back to the other one, because that's kind of how business should be run, because you want good competition. I've said this before. That eventually maybe this one will get too bleh, and then the other one will pick up its pieces and realize it's being too shoddy, do better, and then get my money back. Once again, it's the Fry mentality. If you want that take my money situation to happen, then you give me something worth to give you my money. It's video gaming and everything. Like I've said that before. So now I don't have to worry about I want to say this now too, being a little bit, want to be straightforward with myself as well. This is why I try not to get too deep during games. When we do games, like actual focusing on games. And I've done this too many times, which is why I've realized at this point we probably do need to incorporate far more vlogs, because I've gotten to the point in my life where I think even being disabled, the things I've experienced, I may not know a lot. I'm not even gonna front. I'm not. That's why I kind of rely on certain resources. I may still look up certain things myself, because that's even, they say, always do your own research, obviously. Most people don't for some reason. But, when you do, you'll realize who's actually kind of probably telling you probably more the truth than anything. And as much as people don't want to admit it, it's probably not who they want to probably say out loud. There's a lot of people out there right now that I think are speaking more truths. And even going back to the subject I mentioned yesterday, a certain, once again, I don't want to call, I'm not, once again, this is not what my channel is meant for. I more want to discuss the actual dynamic around why things have kind of unfolded the way they have. A certain thing that's gone on with a certain incident with cars and people and another crazy person, which once again, the person who was the person not on the other, that was on the other end of the car, they were most definitely deserving of everything that happened. But that being said, I guess the fault line is the reaction is you can't blame the one inside, even though if there is more to it than it probably is shaken. But at the end of the day, what has also come out on top of that is what you have to look at it as, even at the end of the day, and there's another video, even that person is now talking about things that make more sense, that you can even say he's been affected by it. And once again, I've talked about this. It's a certain part of the machine that's been being manipulated because the machine is so common in our lives, because the internet is so prevalent, that has created a toxic environment for a lot of us to have to live in, which is creating very hardcore responses. And once again, not that I don't condone these responses, but I also am not surprised by them, or, to my certain extent. If it reaches a certain level, even I have said, and I will quote my own self, I still have a Warhammer slight brain. And that meant in an Imperium slight brain. And I know people will probably take that to what they want. That's fine. It's whatever. But that is why that kind of rears its head. Is because it gets pushed. It's like poking a bear in the woods. Well, you don't do that. Why? No, I didn't get a new van. Sadly, that fell through. We'll talk about that too if anyone wants, as far as my own life examples of certain things that's kind of going on. But like I said, there's certain things that have, so many things I've realized. Man, it's crazy. But let me go back a little bit. I've probably missed a lot. Well, yep. Wow, Reun joined. Welcome, Reun. Welcome, welcome. Hold on, I missed a ton. Chat rolling now. So, let's see. Ardnot will call heresy because the servant that represents Anubis is now near Kukulian. Huh? Wait. Huh? What? Someone said the A word. Wait a minute, hold on. What did I miss? Very good. FGO is truly the best gacha game ever. What's a goofy dog gonna do? Creation of God and when? What? Hold on. What was that? Ho. This is why I need to read chat. This is why sometimes I roll, but then I realize no. We'll go back to the seriousness in a minute. Let's take a quick silly break. I gotta grip my club real quick. Let's see. Big Hair Bio. I got Cuckoo last minute. FGO is very, very fun. Yeah, right. Good for you. Wait. So Ryu said FGO. I don't see. That sounded a bit like. I still don't get BB. Well, yeah. That's one thing I will say in some gachas. The RNG still can be a little bit of a bummer depending on the level of cruelness. But did you at least get spooked? And say, yeah, my Draco can help you a lot. Celia, you rejected the Summer Morgan I gave you. BB is limited. Ah, I see. How many pulls did you do for Draco for her to get to MP level 3? I told you I need the blue Morgan Farseer. You are. I remember trying to get her servant, but she chose me instead. She has blue. Be more specific. Hold on. Eggnog drink? That's for tomorrow. Oh. Crispy maybe a little bit further back in the stream. Because maybe he joined and it didn't go to the live point. Sometimes it does that. I don't know why. And yes, eggnog drink. I'll answer that right now since that already just popped up. It's a mixture between a chocolate wine, a mocha java wine. It's 2 wines basically. Actually, I say that it used to be regular eggnog, but because we were running on a time limit, we kind of just got all wines and an eggnog wine. So it's 3 different wines mixed together. They're all wine. I don't drink wine often, to be fair, but that kind of mixture and mixed kind of wine drinks I do kind of like, because it kind of reminds me of coffee, especially chocolate ones or actual mocha ones. But let me. I'm trying to dissect all these slowly here. It's the one thing that sucks because I am kind of slow that one. I'm not gonna front. Let's see. I remember trying to get her, and then she says she has blue. Be more specific. And then straight face. Farseer put the previous Morgan back. Oh yeah, her name Locesta. Think he repaired the old one, Bacon. Repaired is a strong word. Okay, that was about the van. Yes, I guess we'll address that then real quick too. So, because I forgot I had made an update on that and I haven't talked about that in a while. So let's do that first. Let's talk, and that'll actually feed into the, I'm pretty sure I know what this is related to and why there's never enough funds for anything. But we'll come back to that full circle. So, me and my mom have been trying to get a new van for quite a while now. We've been trying to go through this program. I don't know fully all the details, so I'm not going to go nitty gritty, so I can't really vouch on certain things. But all I know from our perspective, and from what I know, we've been trying to do this, and we've been filling out this application you have to fill out to try to qualify for them to help you get a new van for a disability. And I don't have a face cam for this, which, by the way, first thing I'm fixing in January. Actually, heck, if that may be my surprise New Year's Eve thing. If I get paid New Year's Eve, I might go out and get me a camera for this PC, so I can integrate it into OBS, because I do want to do a vlog with me as a whole, just like I do with my PlayStation. Plus, it's kind of sad I don't get to have my reactions to games on PC like I do on PlayStation, the same level. And I feel like PC side gets let down that way. So we're going to be fixing that. But, that being said, you have to try to qualify for this. You fill out the application and you have to try to qualify for to get a new van. And we filled it out twice. Technically, it probably would have been 3 times by now. But twice. First time it was, both times with the help of also a church that's a sister church of, a sister church of the church that I go to that was trying to help us out as well. But this company has been having us keep finding things that aren't right, and I don't know if we're just not filling it out right or if something's wrong. It's like the lack of communication is just astounding, which, when we get to what I'm talking about later, that might not surprise me now anymore. It did at first, because I was like, why is this so unhinged? But after things I've seen lately, and knowing what I know about the state that I live in, I have a feeling this state isn't much better than in a certain something. I'd be willing to bet. Like I said, we're gonna, this might be a burn, this might be a rough one. This might be a technicality monster today. But yeah, so basically it feels like no one's trying to work with us, or the people who are helping us that were helping us with them, with the company that you work through, or whatever, the program that it's supposed to help out. Even my caseworker that helps me with my cap choice, which is, helps me with my nursing, which is, my mom, even she thinks that this is crazy. And this should tell you something. And here's what's funny. You know why I think she is more nuanced to that, and whereas the one that was helping us isn't? I'll do a quick little summary, and we'll come back to it later when we talk about something I've seen. It's because one is state and one is federal. The one that helps me with camp. At the end of the day, even though it has state regulations, it's regulated by the federal government. State has nothing to do with it. At least not fully. That being said, the other one is not. And so, but, it seems like it's just been, and I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna name any names, not for this, because it's like, I think it's much more tying to this. I'm more here to discuss the nuances of the terribleness of something that's set in that I think has also something to do with my other subject we probably won't get time to cover tonight, we'll have to cover in the next vlog, which is the being plugged in versus unplugged. Now, there's no truly being unplugged in modern society because everything runs on the internet. Your business, your cars at this point almost. And it's like your TVs, your consoles, your computers were on it long ago. They were the originals. The OGs. But, our phones. And it's like, but that's not what I mean by unplugged. What I mean by unplugged is being able to recognize the difference between what people use the machine to trick it and manipulate with it, and some other bureaucratic machines that if we get time we'll talk about tonight that have to do with what I was just saying, versus reality and what it's going to end up doing. So, yeah. This is why I want a video cam, because I would like to also have my face in on this, because facial expressions mean a lot. To me, this is where you see true expression in any human. We talked about this even last night, how you just know when someone's eyes are just kind of been blanked out. But once again, even that person, maybe that is because they've been affected by so much BS and so much downtrodden on them that's been running over them back and forth like a car going in forward and backwards. I use that pun on purpose. And it's like, not for the person on the outside, not for their defense, for the person on the inside of that car. And it's like mentally that person has been run over. Back and forth. Multiple times. And that's because they deal with the same thing we're all dealing with. And it's because of certain things. Now, do we want to touch on that tonight? Probably not. But, you know. But it's like, we'll get back to, but I just want to touch on the van thing. So yeah, back to that fully. It's just, it feels like that there's just no cooperation back and forth. I'm going to revisit it at the beginning of the year. I'm going to try to dig in hard on that one. Because I'm going to ask Mom to kind of let me see if I can get my hands in on that one. See what we need with her help. And we see what we can do. Because I think we need to get that done. Because this van ain't going to last. My old van is just, as much as I love her, as much as I would love. And I'm going to say it now because there's no point in keeping it a surprise anymore. Because I, right now, do not think it's going to happen. Yeah, see, I'm even getting a little emotional. And it's just because even I have been run over by that metaphorical vehicle multiple times. But, how do I put this? So, as much as I love my older van and what it is like, I'm going to try to double down and figure that out. Because that's another thing about a lot of, like, anything. The beginning of the year is usually better if you're trying to get anything done. Because people are just they're getting in their groove mode. And what I mean by this is they know that there's no off time coming anytime soon. It's just a mentality we all have somewhat. It's just a natural thing. That can't be avoided. And that being said, it's just, you're gonna get any business thing, anything, probably better done off that you haven't established yet, like something new, probably at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year, which is kind of where a lot of this started. So I'm gonna dig kind of deeper into that, kind of try to get that straightened out, because the old van is not gonna last. There's too much money having to go into it. And if I had that kind of money, I 100% would repair her and turn her into the secret that I will now reveal. I originally, because she's a Chevy van, and if you know where I'm going with this, actually, let me see if chat remembers. I know not everyone, because this is going to be another one of those that y'all might not remember, because it's almost been a year even since we did the revisit of this game, which I might finish it now. Going into the new year and kind of our theme we're kind of going with right now. Since it's a Chevy van, there's a certain van I kind of hold the high. No, what? That's a truck, Sealy. It's a delivery truck. Well, technically an ice cream truck, but I would say it's actually a UPS truck. If you actually look at what a UPS truck looks like, the old ones, that's Sweet Tooth. Well, we're talking about a van. Although, good guess, at least for the right era, and you're a good guess. But technically, if I had anything from Twisted Metal, it wouldn't be a van. It'd be a certain muscle car with blue paint and white stripes. I don't care how generic and old-fashioned and unoriginal, because that was its original paint job. That is, but no, that's a different car. That's a different whole bag of worms. But took my mom five times in 5 years to get a driver's license and handicap plate. I mean anything slow with the government. Like I said, they're, especially if it's state based. Like I said, if we get to all that tonight, we'll talk about why I think that seeped in so deep and why it's gotten even worse over time versus even in the 90s where I grew up, because I have noticed huge differences, and they are kind of a crux of reference now that I have and go, wait, that just doesn't make any sense. How does something in the past more efficient than what something should be in the modern era when we have more technology? This makes no sense. And it's like, but that being said, but no, back to the van. I originally was going to make it into a certain van from a certain video game we've played on this channel. That's called the Invincible Van. Remember the Immortal Van? I used to call it the Immortal Van. And this van can survive just about anything. That's actually kind of what I gave this van's nickname. Because of how much it's been through trying to keep us going. Even though it's... If, like I said, if I had the money, I'd 100% would restore the whole thing. From top to bottom. But that's a lot of money. 100%. Especially since I can't just go out and buy the van model that I would prefer from an older van. I would 100% restore her if I could. And it's not to say we're going to abandon her if we have the ability, even though there's other things that are developing that may change that fate for that, but it's not that we're going to totally abandon her. We are going to, if we can help it, at least once we do finally get something better and a newer one, we can at least kind of keep her on the side as an emergency, and then eventually down the road when I get my stuff going, because I have a lot of plans for this year. This year is, I have them all in a certain order. There's still a certain doc, and I've talked about this before. I don't want to go over too much right now, but that's why you keep seeing the same name for this vlog. Note the name of this vlog and what it's called. You will see the name of this vlog stay that way for a good minute. And there's a reason for that. And it's because of what it's supposed to represent, and something that I think not only I'm doing, but I think all of us across, I can vouch for at least where I live here in America, are also starting to do. And starting to wake up and realize and be reborn and go, something ain't right. And it's like, so, but, yeah, see, Farseer guessed it. I had to go back here. There we go. Got shafted is very essay. Who gonna cry? Devil may cry. It okay. Yes, Dante is crying because he got shafted in Punishing Grave. That was a good one. That was actually a good way to boo that one. But yes, Devil May Cry is the right answer, and you are 100% correct, because the van that's driven, I think it's in Devil May Cry 5 is the newest one, the one that came out last. That was the good one, the one I played on the channel. This shows you how my brain's been scattered. That van is a Chevrolet. And it's like, even though Chevys have some problems, in my opinion, I mean, it depends on who you ask, I guess. I mean, Chevy and Ford have had their problems up and down over the years, no matter who you ask. I have some people say hate Fords and give it the nickname Found on the Road Dead. Some people hate Chevys. Some people hate, even though it's very rare, hate Toyotas, because how could you hate a Toyota? But anyways, it's like, I may be a Ford man, but I think the one universal acceptance is, yeah, Toyota's hard to argue with. Their trucks just don't die, okay? I'm just gonna put it that way. Whether you're a Ford man, Chevy man, whatever, Dodge man, forgot about that side of the spectrum. Right, the rock, scissors, paper of American trucks. The Chevy, the Dodge, and technically GMC, but GMC is just a watered down Chevy. No offense to GMC. But, or a Ford and a Chevy put together. I really don't know what you want to put there. But it's like the Dodge, the Chevy, the Ford. At the end of the day, no matter which one your favoritism, me being Ford, overall, Toyota's still laughing. But anyways, I had to make that joke. This is not a van. This is a Sparta in a this is Sparta in the form of a van. I actually believe that could be true. Part of me wonders if I were Capcom, I'd 100% make that canon. I'd 100% roll, because if anyone played that game and paid attention, and if you accept that Devil May Cry is over the top to begin with, that actually is kind of cool. It's like, what is this van? What did she do to it? How is it able to smash through demon towers and not even suffer a freaking splotch? This thing is like tougher than Wolverine without a cigar. And it's like, so it's like, I 100% would roll with that. And the fact that it's what's her name, even though we didn't sadly get a lot of lore on her, and I'm kind of mad about this, the one that's running I forget her name, the girl who drives the van, because I actually think she's related to this somehow too. And knowing the way this is kind of plays, I have a big distinct feeling, because Resident Evil's always been the poster child, which is why the new one's even gonna go mad hard. I can't wait, chat. But that being said, I think if I were Capcom, since you've got all this goodness going into Resident Evil, splash some of that into like Devil May Cry and the way you look at that. If you do that with what you already have established, because the already established lore is fine. That last ending, even if some people call it kind of corny, was actually really good, because that is kind of Devil May Cry at its heart. It was born in the 90s. It's gonna be somewhat corny. It was born during the Arnold Schwarzenegger, basically heavenly. I meant to say heavy. I guess if you looked at it the right way. No, heavy action pack, like over the top, boom boom wham wham boom boom. And it's like, it's supposed to be somewhat like 90s corny in the first place. But the new one did a good job of blending this, and the fact that Nero and 4 kind of created a new narrative that no one saw coming. Virgil having a son over Dante. And that's really smart, because, no offense, the obvious choice would be Dante, right? You're like, no, there's no way. How does Dante not have kids? There's just no way, right? You'd ask yourself, why? How? And I actually think there is a reason behind that, and no, it's not because what some people would probably make up an excuse and try to turn Dante into something else. No, it's not that. And it's like, it's probably, if I had to take a gander, something makes me wonder if Dante has a bigger curse than Virgil does. Because Dante says something to Virgil that I don't think nobody picks up on. Hold on. You know what? This is a vlog. 1 second. I gotta hold on. I gotta find this. But yeah, it is the right, y'all guessed it right. Are we sure Dante never one night stands some random demon hunter manager somewhere? Well, see, that's why. Well, I mean, my brain even goes to, like, Dante's gotta have a kid, right? And part of me wants to say that I think they should have made that girl who drives the van his daughter. I think that was a huge missed opportunity that you find out. That makes more sense with her personality. And I'm like, because she has a very, like, Southern, almost Louisianan, almost kind of like Southern Belle, kind of like something Gambit would be attracted to. And Dante has a Gambit personality. He 100% would date a lady from Louisiana. 100%. So it's like, I really think it was a miss. But that being said, they could play it a little bit better. But I gotta figure out how to search this up. Hold on. I wonder if it'll let me use my mic even though I'm on stream. I'm trying not to accidentally hit my phone. I can't remember if it's called 5, right? 2021. Hold on, let me rate. What did I miss? I've got the XLT Ford Ranger Turbo and lifted 7 inches with 20s. Wow, that's great. That's crazy. I don't need all that on my Ford, but I do like that. That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. That's very old. That's very. You see, Del Crispy and I come from the same part of the original, the OG of certain things come from. like, but that is pretty awesome. It's like Black Horse Bull Bar. That's pretty. Okay, see that I'd have. Okay, that I can't hate on. Maybe I will never hate on a good bull bar because you might need it. Just gonna say that. And it's in Alpha Nova headlights, Roche intake, Morimoto radiator cool. Jeez, bro. Man, I wish I could do that in my van. And see, but let me. Is devil is trying to do? I like how I typed in devil wears Prada. What? Let's see, Devil May Cry 5. Hold on. It's gonna pull up a bunch of videos. Don't care about all that. Is it I forgot what the name of the boss is called. It's before Virgil reforms with himself. I'm gonna put second Virgil boss battle. Oh, that's the problem. I don't know. Wait, circuit. Wait, yeah, Urzian. 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 Is it this one? No, it's the one up top. Is it the win? Is it defeat? Hold on. No. Is it mission 10? I gotta find it, Chad. Just give me a second. Maybe it's mission 9. Okay, hold on. Devil May Cry 5. I'm gonna try Urzian cutscene. Hold on. So let's do this first so I can get his name. Wait, hold on. This might be it, but this is. We want it before he. Right here. I'm gonna pause. This is it right here. So this says something that I don't think no one paid any mind to. That we got in the origin of Dante and Virgil and what happened to their mother. And I don't think anyone heard this. And I really think it really needs to be listened to a lot more. But let me read chat before we watch this. By the way, you missed Farseer's message about Cuckoo. Hold on. About Cuckoo. No, I did. I read something about Cuckoo and Cuculian Anubis or something. Hold on. I missed it. There was quite a lot to say. I will say this. Something you probably know. But wait. Something you probably know, but you want to know how Facebook... Hold on. That's not it. Cuculin in FGO is one of the strongest servants. Anubis is... Really? No. Is there a way to enhance and make people powerful? I accept... I do not accept average. Alright, back. Let's see. I posted to you 3 years ago. I think my page to connect is old. Wait, what I miss? I'm gonna check Discord. Maybe I can post the pics. You should be able to join the Discord. Hold on. How do I look at my own description? 1 second. No, I need to pull up my own live. Hold on. Oh, wait. That's gonna be a... Oh, no. Wait, this one's safe. Refresh. Is my video live? Okay, so this is what I want to do. This will make it easier for everyone. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna pause that so it's not echoing. So in the description, it should still work. This should take you to the Discord if that's what you mean. Let me make sure. I'm gonna check Discord. Maybe I can post the pics. Be right back. I posted to you 3 years ago. I think the page connect is old. I mean, I don't know. Let me see. Did anything get posted? Because this is the Guardian Core. I'll go ahead and... Right here. Post up here. It's the Guardian Core family. But the link to this core should be this link. Should be this. I don't know what happens if I click it. I'm kind of scared to since I own it. But it should be this link. This should be hopefully allow you in there. At least I would, in theory, that's what it's supposed to do. If it isn't working, I will need someone to eventually test it. But Kakulin has a stage 3 that requires you to beat Lost Belt 7. I mean, I don't know enough about FGO to know totally what that means. But I mean, I'm still just, I think that, I've always thought in games that's a little odd when you kind of hurt too many old characters. Because let's say some people just really do vibe with a certain character and then they just get ousted. That in its own right somewhat eliminates some people. And it's like in certain level of players, so. But FGO also has the 2 cuckoos. The Aztec and the Mayan. I mean, that's pretty cool, but it's like, if there's an enhancement way, I'd be like, let me be able to have the ability to make something stronger, though. I'm not saying make it relevant in the story. I understand why they don't do that. But it's like, at least if I still have an older character, let them still be able to somehow be improved and rock hard, or become like, bam! Just slam into them, just bam, bam. It's a story spoiler, you can turn it off. Oh, okay. You can still beat the game with older characters. Yeah, but could I beat a cuckoo with an Anubis, though? That is my question. I asked for no apparent reason. Oh, wait, that's the wrong drink. I need to drink my coffee. Alright, coffee this time. Oh man, I love this cup. I actually might just make it this cup permanently. Stage 2 cuckoo. Well, once again, I don't know enough FGO to know what that means. I don't know if that means a no. If that's a no, then that's sad face. But if it's a yes, then okay. What's a difficult to a creation god? Am I right? Sealy? 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 Wait. Oh, yeah. I just got a great idea. Oh, yeah. It's not FGO related directly, but yeah. All right. Let's watch this and talk about this, and we're going to talk about something I just came up with. There's also Tiamat. Oh, okay. Okay, Tiamat I'm not against. Okay, I like me some Tiamat. There's no Godzilla, so Tiamat's the best answer. But anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, back to this. Let's talk about Dante and something very special that I think got revealed in this game. This game was weird, or not to me. I love this game because I felt like this game remembered what Devil May Cry was. 100%. But it got a weird backlash. I figured that's what it was, Farseer. I like I said, I just have certain things that just, to me personally, I'm a little cautious on saying myself out loud. It's like, but, I'm trying to be a little bit more consensus with myself a little bit. Not fully. Not in a controlling way, but more of like, I can be real unhinged. I'll even admit, other than when some of the, which is different in my unhingedness, some of my anger, sadly, during my Smite days, y'all have never seen the unhinged side. You do not know. There's a reason why I watch a certain someone. And it comes from, once again, I could talk hours about disability, how little we get, how little I get to barely live per month, and use on things I need to even try to make a career for myself in anything, whether it be YouTube, AI, whatever. That's why I like AI, because I think AI is my chance to actually change and actually bring myself up, because it's something that I think is a good thing. Now, yes, will it be used for bad things? Probably. It is, and it already is in some cases. But sorry to tell you, but that's just gonna be what it's. That's just some people are gonna do that. But it's like the point is how you handle as the bad things happen. But point is, it's like, but yeah, it's like I could go hours into that, into how much or how little, sadly I should say, in my case, that I get versus how much I see other crazy things I've been seeing now get and don't even get checked. I have to go through crazy hoops to prove that I'm disabled, even though you could just look at me on camera and say, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's disabled. At least physically. And we're going to just say that as that. We're talking about just from the law's perspective, right? I have my own personal views on being disabled and trying to overcome it and all that. But as far as the law is concerned, it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure anyone look at me and go, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's disabled. But, I still have to go for checks. And I'm not saying I shouldn't either. By the way, I don't advocate for that. I'm fine with that as long as all of us have to do that. That's the point. It's like it's not across the board. It's like if I, as an actual disabled person, have to go through so much to keep my disability on track, always keeping on things, making sure I'm doing what I need to do, then I think these people who are just signing papers and sending it in and somehow just getting these papers signed for like up to millions of dollars, I'm like, how? Why? If that don't hurt your confidence in anything, it doesn't matter what it is. I don't know what does. And so, we posted. Alright, hold on. Let me check that real quick. No. Oh, nice. Oh, nice. You were talking about your bike too. Okay, I do like that. I'd never be like. Of course, this is gonna sound dumb, but I'm not above this. I'm not. Like I'm man enough to admit this once again because I'm disabled. It's like, now this I could one day have in the future. I do plan on still, in my future, one day having something like this. See, I like you did what a lot of people do. They took a Ranger and basically turned it into what I would call today, modern times, a Raptor, but better. Because Raptors are overblown now. Because now you don't even get the Hennessy upgrade or any other types of things on the standard Raptors, so you're really better off doing what Crispy has sent a picture of here. And then let's go down. That's the grill. Yeah, it's like I said. It's like I'm telling you, like it's like if one day there's a more front view. One day, I'll have a van first. I'm not above a van. Just because I've grown up in a van because of my wheelchair. But I have seen trucks that do wheelchairs. So unless it happens before the van, somehow. But yeah, now this is a secret heart of mine. As you can tell because of who I'm a fond fan of, when it comes to Devil May Cry. But, what was I going to say? But sadly, being the fact disabled, I'd never really truly get to enjoy one of these personally myself, being able to ride it myself, because I love bikes. But maybe one day if I get lucky and the lady guardian of the house ends up liking bikes, I'll just I'm not even afraid. I'm not even afraid to admit. I'll ride on the back. I'm down. And it's like just because I can't, at least it'll give me a little bit of enjoyment of the feeling of riding on a bike. And then my vehicle will be this one day. Something like that. Or something like this. Maybe not this exactly. I have my own build in my head, what I want one day for my truck, but it's good stuff. I figured it was a Harley. I figured as much. That's nice. That's pretty cool. And it's like I said, so it's like, but that being said, that's, coming to the other thing I was talking about, that's, I try to keep myself in a certain consensus, because I know if I go too hard off the rails, man, it's going to get real rickety in this train. Let's see, what did I miss though? As Farseer said, not all divine servants are equal. Anubis is just basic. Meanwhile, Cuckoo. See, that's sad. That makes me sad. That makes me sad. FGO needs to get with the picture and understand the power of the great balance. Because, it is. I can put a sidecar for you. That's pretty cool. But that's good, bro. Now one day, I'm telling you right now, knowing me and knowing who I am, I've already kind of predicted this. I don't know who she is yet, and there's no way to know that. But I definitely know what she's going to be like. And it's like the lady guardian of the house is 100%. I guarantee you. Going to be down with me, me buying her a bike and her, because she probably likes bikes, and we riding together. Besides, it's no offense to that, because I appreciate it as bro to bro, but man, I'd much rather ride with the lady of the house. If you get my joke on that, because Anywho, Anubis ain't that guy. Well, then FGO is just sadly ain't that game. I'm sorry to hear that. FGO doesn't understand what true power looks like. Oh man. FGO's like, nah, it's a basic. I'm like. You missed the way they can make him better like they did. Oh, what did I miss? Hold on. What I miss? Never know. They could give Anubis the Ishtar treatment and create a higher divine version. Oh, well, tell them to do that then. See? Seely's just trying to protect the cuckoo. He knows. He's already been shown it firsthand. He already knows. He's just denying it. He's in denial. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with Farseer on that one, and then maybe one day FGO will understand. That's how they'll draw. Hey, FGO, if you see this stream, Fate Grand Order, if you want me to get into your gotcha, I'm 100% down with a much more divine version of Anubis. Then we talking 100%. We talking 100%. I'm coming over there and showing Seely and reminding him what happened last time he did this. Kukulian is stronger than Spade's for now. Yeah, but that was probably because Kukulian got the better treatment during that time. But, you know how gotchas work. It's all about who's being promoted right now, right? So let's say Anubis came back into the picture. You want to promote the character who's in the picture, right? So I guarantee you, come on, they can do it. That's all it takes. They can do it. Or that you were a cheese factory. You won't face Cuckoo face to face. Excuse me? Would you like would you like to get I will do it just for this one reason. I won't play PvP in public lobbies anymore. I won't ever play it for stream, like, straight up. Would you like to, like to, test that theory? So don't do it to yourself. You remember, let your brain remember let it use those instincts of remembering the pain. What in the... So I'm gonna say this before I say again, issue the just challenge. So legs. Okay, good. Good. Just want to establish that one word. Titles are completely different though. Who cares? That'll make it even more fair. Do you think I can't instinctually, Sealy, create the monotonous monster that I have built in original Smite? Because I'm not talking about Smite 2. Hell, actually, no, I'll even take it a step further, even though I would not really rather promote that game. That's why I won't download it. That's why I'd rather do this in the original. But I just to put this to a point, though, even if I did want to do, or didn't want to do this, I definitely could do it in the new one, too. At least against Cuckoo, for sure. Sure, there are other things in Smite that are wrong, and have been wrong for a long time. But I can guarantee you 1 billion%. 1 billion% that, what do you call it? That I could easily dump on a Cuckoo. No matter new items, having to relearn, and there's only one. This is what makes it good and easy, because this is how you know when a creature knows what it is. There's only one word I need to know, and this is the single most important word in the dictionary of Anubis. But anyways, Space Irishkago is on par with... Okay, I'll take that one. I could use that, but that's still not what I would prefer to make the example with, an FGO. That's not bad. That's not bad. But anyways, let's focus on the lore of the Dante. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything from Crispy. Make sure people aren't getting buried. Okay. Let me know if anyone posts anything too. Because if you, other than like, there are still certain things I have to be careful of video-wise right now in the early stages as we kind of trickle our way. Because I'm trying to do this with baby steps, since we are noobish to this. When it comes to vlogging like this, especially PC-wise. If anyone doesn't, we end up wanting to post things, like kind of like what Farseers did post a picture of the character they're talking about, that's from a different game. Look, Cuckoo agrees that Anubis only governs an aspect of his world. Technically, that is not true. Because I never realized what actually... And this would require a theological conversation, but we don't really have time since we've got all these other subjects going. It's actually what he represents and who he actually is. So technically, no. Sealy, that's not true. Ooh, man. See, I could... Ooh. It's like my brain's like... And now that I've also reinvigorated my and relearned the theology and reinvigorated my belief in my faith for what I believe in, I've noticed some similarities. And since my belief has a huge history with Egypt, and it's a let's see, Anubis only governs an aspect of it. Let's see. Have you heard about the Teo tenacity? Teo tenacity, what? Teo's a bad example. Teo's no, we all know that the Teo just is just there to draw the existence away as a distraction. Teo's a false leader. But point being, back to the Dante stuff. But yeah, that's another subject. Nah, it goes way deeper than that. Trust me. Cuckoo is not as exempt from the Anubian as Cuckoo think. Okay, let me settle this with one thing. Cuculian can do an FGO that will be pure BS to deal with. She can nullify one of the strongest attacks in the game. Well, video game wise, I don't doubt they made her stronger. That I'm not arguing. I like that 100%. Once again, it's a gacha game. Whoever the most strongest right now, or most popular at the moment, is going to get the strongest stuff. That's just how gacha games work. But as far as in lore, yeah, there's a lot of underestimation going on that goes on with a certain somebody. And what's funny is I think that's even carried even over today. Because what's ironic, if you compare to who Anubis actually might represent an Egyptian-wise, because I've talked about this briefly, we're not going to get into this whole subject right now, but theologically I've talked about what I think the Egyptians' representation of a certain event that has happened in our history that I think that he represents actually more wholeheartedly. And if that's the truth in the case, yeah, no, sorry, Cuckoo cooked. And it's like, or at least equal grounds at best. And so, because the Egyptians tell it in such a strange way when you kind of look at it, because you have Set, but then you find out Set's not really actually Anubis' father, and this is why, and I can't go into all of what this is referencing on my end of the spectrum, on actually what I think this is talking about. And it's like, so I'm going to use Anubis' story as an example real quick as the base. We're just going to say the basics. We're not talking about the mythos directly at the moment because that would require more deeply talking more into the subject. But the basis of Anubis is who his real father actually is. And what it actually represents, what Anubis truly is actually connected to. So, all I'll say is, Anubis is born into the kingdom of Set, but Set is not his daddy. Set is not the baby daddy. And it's like, it's technically Set's brother. And I think it's Horus, right? Now, Horus doesn't know this either. Keep this in mind. And it's like, Horus does not know this either, but he doesn't, and once again, I don't want to go too much into what this is actually comparing to, I think from the Egyptian side of this, and this is why I think certain things are overlooked and certain things, and there's so much more into human culture and society and history that we still just aren't fully grasping because we don't want to admit what it truly means. But right now, the point of that is it from Anubis' perspective, he is a son born into a kingdom that's almost a traitor kingdom, because Set is always trying to take the throne from their father, from him and Horus' father, which is, I think Osiris or something like that. This is the rough estimate version. This is not the full mythos. And it's like, so, and then that being said, but what's weird about Anubis is Anubis doesn't loyally serve Set directly. Anubis's whole job is to bring balance and to bring truth to Egypt. Meaning he's supposed to go around essentially saving people. Note that word I said. And it's like, and kind of bringing people to what truly their soul would be bring to balance. Basically a physical representation of the Egyptian story of something else. Now, they make it so much more mythos. He's a human dog man. He can control the spirit realm, and his wife mans the boat, which is what's her name? The hippo lady. I forgot her name. Which is actually in Moon Knight, by the way. If you ever want to see the really crazy representation I've ever seen of that realm that Anubis comes from, and that his wife kind of helps him govern and kind of pilots the ship. Boy, that was a hilarious episode in Moon Knight, man. It's like, Adnat Cuckoo isn't just a god of 9 winds. He's literally a primordial creation god that also brings about civilizations. Okay. That's true. But here's the thing. If the Anubis story, and remember what I gave the key to what I said to that in the story. So the Farseer, did you catch that? Did you catch what I was talking about when I was talking about what Anubis was supposed to do? In theory. I used a certain word specifically because, once again, everyone in the world has their own. And this is a word that's being thrown around a lot because this is pretty sadly the truth. Not on everything. Some things are fact. And it's like I say with a certain like the reason why I watch a certain someone. But optics. Everyone has a certain optics in this way. So the Egyptians would have had a different optics to the same result as a different belief would have. A certain belief they were heavily involved with. It's like he gave birth to knowledge, basically the concepts to lay the foundations to a civilization. Yes. But hold up there. Right? Right. Okay. So, but you're still on a civilization level. That's why I wanted to see if Farseers kind of heard what I said. And then we'll after this we're going to go back to Dante. Because we are kind of branching out in too many branches to where we might lose kind of the train of thought for tonight. But I want to see if Farseer picked up on what I said. And if not, I'll just drop a quick consensus on what I think. And we'll go with that. We'll actually discuss that in the next one if we want to talk more open kind of theology kind of thing. Because I'm always about that. Because I want this channel to be more about a safe discussion, like where we can not be afraid that if we get a little heated, it gets a little heated. Because it's kind of the point. It has to sometimes. People have to kind of be able to throw off of each other and balance each other and not let it get out of hand like the crazy things we're seeing happen in certain states. Because no one's checking the balance. One side of the scale is tipping too deep. It's like, I'm not getting involved to shorten the conversation. I mean, that's true. I just wanted to see if you guessed what I was saying. But I guess I'll just say it in short summary. So, essentially, Anubis is helped to guide souls to the afterlife and hopefully across the Duat to a better afterlife. So, he is the one now. So, and because he is see, Cuckoo is a sun god, but Aztec version. I mean, yes, that's true too. And that's why I'm going to kind of get to something that's kind of ironic. What you're about to find out is going to shock you. Anubis and Cuckoo are the same person. So why do you think that is? And that's where I'll leave it. I'm going to let that cook in everyone's brain for a while. because you're probably going to think that's a little crazy, and I'm going to tell you why if it probably in the next one, because I don't want to get too far off our current topics. But why is Anubis and Cuckoo the same person? It's also has to do with my belief and my faith as well, because it boils down to what, once again, the Egyptian version of what Anubis represents. And there are multiple interpretations of both. That's another thing. But at the end of the day, they're all still boiling down to the same concept. One concept is the same for both. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Interpretations don't matter. I know that sounds harsh, but an interpretation is an optic. It's not fact. The fact is the one that the base is based on. If the base of it is the same, then the base is actually the same thing. And then you'll see this across culture. It's the same phenomenon I said last night with the warning of what we were talking about, Sealy getting that feeling, or why we have cryptid warnings, or back in the day, why we came up with campfire stories before modernization even was involved, like the Wendigos and the Bigfoots of the old days. Like, even if they're not real, I said yesterday, what's real in that is the base. The base of that interpretation is something was out there that was hurting humans, because we wouldn't have come up with it for no reason. You could argue, oh, but it could be just a ghost story. Yes, but and I'll say this, and people may not understand this fully, every single folklore that before modernization became a thing, but before the internet fully was a thing. I'll say today's a little different. You can't use that same logic today, but because we have AI and all kinds of things you can do things with now, but as far as like in the old days when we were in more danger and living with nature and animals we didn't understand and having to hunt animals more and more primal in certain ways and having to survive way more in harsher situations, where do you think these stories came from? And it's like, most stories come from something that either, especially scary stories, that is out of a survival instinct. And this is the same thing with optics, with interpretations, when it comes to belief or anything like that. This is something that like, how do I break this down easier? This is something that at the end of the day, the optics will say something different, which that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as the base is the same. That's why they're the same person. But it's an FGO side, it could be spoiler. But that's just the base breakdown. Well, if y'all want to talk about more of that in another episode, we can. I always kind of leave that one to more discussion base of how much people really want to get into that. So, my final saying will be on FGO. It took 2 close years for another character, Space Erica Skull, to be another Cuckoo level servant. And that's true, but that's just the game. You are talking about just from the game perspective alone, though. You're not talking about the real life version. You're not talking, even in the other interpretations, even in real life. All of them boil down to the same thing. Cuckoo is the creator of civilizations, knowledge, is a primordial exister, or god or goddess. Because technically in some interpretations, Cuckoo is a female, even. Not even male. So remember, that's, once again, these are just optics. At the end of the day, Cuckoo is what Sealy says. But so is Anubis. Now, if the optics may be the same, may not be the same, and how the Egyptians explain Anubis's role, but if you really look at it, it makes sense. But her damage is kind of low. You still want to pull? But on FGO side, I think that they definitely should give Anubis another time a day. Another, like, bring him back, make him strong, make him or her. I don't know if they make everyone female in that game. Some games do, but make Anubis better in that game. Making him strong again. But that being said, it's like, and that's a little harken into some of the things that I've studied and some of the things I know too, kind of on my side as well, though. But now, but that's why I said is like, I wanted to get back to the devil. Let's go back to the Devil May Cry topic, so we can kind of focus in on that a little bit. You see, they probably will. They may not. I don't know how old that game is. Some characters end up that way, but they're just gonna get left in obscurity. But when it comes to video games, but each his own when it comes to it. It's the developer's choice at the end of the day. So it's, doesn't really matter. It's let them. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. Now I'm saying, for me though, I will say unless they did do that. There's a few characters that I might get that game for, that I could probably play that game for, but I don't know compared to like Arknights or Uma or any of that, would I probably be as interested without it though. Because when you start to get into mythoses in your game, kind of like Smite, it's like, or characters based on mythoses, you kind of have to understand the crickety ground you're actually standing on. And Smite knew this too for a long time. But because you are kind of touching on a subject that goes deeper than most subjects for most people. No matter which one it is. So but alright, so before we get started, we're going to focus in on this real quick. So I want y'all to listen to what Dante says to this version of Virgil. This is technically Virgil. I mean, at this point, this game is old now. Spoiler alert, this is Virgil. But let's see. I'm back. What happened? I was showering the entire time. Dang it, silly! You missed what I said, bruh. Ay. Well, I already said it. We're not going to go all over it again. If you want to see it, you're going to have to rewind. Because I don't think Farseer wants me to go into all that again. So it's like, it's one of those things. But okay. So, now back to the Devil May Cry stuff. I want y'all to listen to what Dante says to Virgil in this sentence. We're going to pause it, and then we're going to maybe listen to it once or twice here. So you can, if it gets a little weird, because I will say the voice acting, I do think, in this game for this point, like, I think the actor was trying to put so much emphasis on Dante being kind of, he's not winded, but he's like in a hyped mood right now, so his breath is high, and so he's adding a lot of breath to his voice to make him feel strained. And I do think he's strained his words a little bit doing so I do think it does come off a little weird sounding, but we're going to talk about that right now.
Virgil. Hey, is that the damn fruit you've been jabbering about? Doesn't look so special to me. Yep. This is where it all started. That day Mother saved me and left you behind. The thing you don't know is, she tried to save you too. She kept searching and searching. Until I killed her.
So, okay, I'm gonna pause it. Did you notice that the translation? What? Wait, why did Ryun get hidden? What happened? Oh, phone glitched out. Oh, it's fine. Why won't let me? It won't even let me see one. Oh, checkmate. This just was the checkmate one. It was, yeah, it's fine. I was like, what happened? I thought something crazy that happened on this. But yeah, so, okay. So I'm going to replay that. Did you notice that Dante said something verbally different? And I've been over this a million times to make sure this isn't just me going crazy.
Searching and searching. Until I killed her.
Okay. No, there was no T in that sentence. No T. No it. Until it killed her, is what that subtitle said. But let me rewind again.
Kept searching and searching. Until I killed her.
So I'm gonna let it finish, and then we're going to we're gonna talk about this, because I don't think this was an accident. I think that the accident is the actual subtitle. I actually think the subtitle was wrong, and the voice actor, because one could argue, wait, if the voice line was wrong, and he said it wrong, and and they heard that in the booth, they would have had him re-say it. So I actually think the subtitle is wrong, and something that makes more sense, and it's a scene you see earlier in the... I don't know if it'll show it in this, I can't remember, but that's why we'll let it go on a little further. But we're going to come back to that in a minute.
I have no recollection of this tale, or this place. It's all an illusion.
No, he didn't say it, he said I. He did not say I, he did not say it. It's not, there's no T there. He said I, until I killed her. And see, the reason why this backs up, and we're going to get to this, because there's a cutscene in here that's not a sound or a word. It's a scene you see that Dante isn't explaining, but if you hear how he's explaining it, it doesn't make sense from a child's perspective. And you'll see what I mean in a minute.
Created by this extraordinary fruit. Its power, you see, is all I ever wanted. And with this,
No.
I will have everything.
Hold on, I gotta fast forward. I gotta show the fight. You don't show the cutscene.
No, brother. You don't have everything.
Yeah, see, it doesn't show all of it. It shows of Virgil, him turning into Virgil and everything. Which is, we're gonna watch this real quick, and then I need to look up one other cutscene that's not in here.
That last shred of humanity that you still
We're gonna
had.
skip the fight though.
You just lost it.
No, kid, no. See right there, you see how he pronounced it right there. That's not the word it. And once again, I'll show you a cutscene of why this makes sense. I'm pretty sure the subtitle's wrong.
Nothing but the pitiful cries of those without strength. Come to me, brother. I shall enlighten you. Dante!
Alright, hold on.
Dante!
Corned beef hash and
You're
pickles
late.
were
Just finishing up.
Nice.
Is that really your brother?
Hold on one second.
I'm afraid so.
We'll let it play, and then we're gonna
So
go
he
to
was
cutscene
behind all
why
this.
I question this even
No
further.
flesh and blood.
Right again.
In the last throes of defeat, I see.
V, get back. Things are about to get really messy.
No. Please. Let me. I want to end this battle with my own hands.
That was a good maneuver, by the way, on V's half, even though I've already spoiled who they are. Because it's like, it's okay. I'll finish him, don't worry. I don't have an ulterior motive.
Do not struggle.
I don't know why it took everyone so long to notice that this is a piece of the blade.
For if you can't even defeat me, then you've already lost.
I will not lose. Not to Dante. I need power. More power.
I know where I
I
get
know.
that line from.
We are one and the same, you and I. But you've lost me, and I've lost you.
See Dante's concern right there? Hold on, let me... Hold on. He's not showing it completely, but you can see in his eyes, his aura, his brain. If this is a real life person, he heard what V just said, and his brain's already tying the knots together, going, wait a second.
Yet
But
we
he
are
realizes
connected
it's slightly a little
by
too
that
late.
one feeling. While thy branches mix with mine, and our roots together join.
And you see how Dante's like, oh crap! Oh shit! And then there were two once more that stood upon the family crest. That once was born of the demon devil hunter Spark.
What is this? Virgil.
No, we're just gonna watch this for the fun of it, but then we're gonna look up that other scene. I gotta figure out how to get it. It's Devil May Cry. I think it's a scene when you see. Okay, so it's a scene when you see like the family house burning, and I gotta remember when it is. That I'm not sure how to look up though. Oops. No. Don't need that one. I don't know how to put this, but Dante's mom dying in a fire. Dante could have, I don't know, used the second amendment. That's true, he could have just shot him. That is a good point. But I think part of him technically wanted it to happen. His brain didn't go that many steps ahead. Because you gotta think about how much he probably does miss Virgil. Because Virgil became really disconcerted and disconnected if you've ever seen the backstory of what Virgil's actual history really is. But, Devil May Cry 5. See, if I do Dante's history, it might bring up just some sort of someone doing a backlog of his history. I want that cutscene. don't know what it's called. Devil May Cry 5. I'm gonna say Dante's mom. I'm gonna see what it says. Dante's mom. Not much die. Dante's mother. Maybe. Wait.
Come here.
Here we go.
You need to hide, Dante. No matter what happens, you mustn't leave.
So, here's where it gets a little weird. In this scene, she's putting Dante in the closet. Now, we do know from previous Devil May Cry's, demons are attacking the house right now. Virgil is missing. And Dante is in a closet. So let's put that into perspective. And here's why I think he says, I and not it. Remember, even though he's a little kid, I think I know what he witnessed. And this is why I think he personally feels responsible for, and this is why I think y'all are taking what I said literally. You're probably thinking I mean that Dante killed his mother directly. No. Now, to him, probably. But no. I don't think it was him. At least not by his direct hands. But, let's finish this scene. Now, remember in the past lore, now all you really get to hear is her freak out and scream and this scene ends. But I have a consensus to this in the way Dante carries himself towards many things we've seen in the past. So many other, so many other reactions to Virgil. Like, because you gotta ask yourself, why is he so protective of Virgil? Why does he try to keep Virgil so under control so often? Why is his hand so tight? Well, you're about to find... Well, in my opinion, you're about to find out why I think that is.
I need to find Virgil. I promise I'll be back. I know this is hard. You must listen to me. Be a big boy. A man, huh?
Of course she looks like Trish,
If I
because we all
don't
know what
return,
Mundus did.
You must run. By yourself, alone. You must change your name. Forget your past and start a new life. As someone else. A new beginning. Virgil! Where are you, Virgil?
And then that's all you hear. Now, if it weren't for we had pre-context, I could just argue she got crushed by the house. But then again, if you knew the house was collapsing, why do you have Dante in a closet where he could be crushed too? Now granted, she probably knows he's a demon, he might survive that. That's a bit of a stretch, but it is somewhat believable. So now let's go, let's go back a little bit here. Does it show anything else on this? See, once again, you see how it says it right here? And I think someone else is onto the same thing I am. But what I don't think Virgil realizes is something he didn't come to terms with until this game. Because, let's go back again. Let's go back to the original cutscene, not that one. Although I will go to that one in a minute. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Now I want to focus on Virgil's response to this, while he's in this form.
The thing you don't know.
No, skip all that.
I have no recollection of this tale.
Yeah.
Or this place. It's all an illusion.
So, okay. He has no recollection. He has no recollection of any of this place. So, but yet, this is where the demon came, right? This is where the tree of the Qyploth produced the fruit. Which, if you know your Devil May Cry history, is actually how Mundus came to be. And I actually think this design of him is on purpose. And we've said this a million times if you've ever played Devil May Cry 1. Neo Angelo Virgil in that universe, up until this game, because remember, this game is after that. Devil May Cry 3 is before that. So Devil May Cry 3 is when you see Virgil still as himself, becoming more and more twisted and losing his mind to something. Because here's the other proof why something doesn't... Why I think Dante must be safeguarding something. Nero exists. Nero. Virgil had a kid. How? So, the only explanation I can give to this is I think that there's something wrong with Virgil. And we'll talk about that. Let me read chat before I continue. But Ardnot, Virgil at this point is fractured into two beings. It wouldn't matter. They're the same thing. This is, you're not using your Zeech logic, Sealy. So is Magnus. I mean, this is where Farseer might go, ah, crap. And it's like, so is Magnus. Look up who Magnus is in Warhammer. Tell me that still counts. And it's like, so that's, it's like, you know, I'm out of this loop. All my DMC knowledge comes from 5. I have no knowledge of prior. That's fine. I'll explain anything in between. First, short story short. Essentially, the Demon Lord Sparta rebelled against, this is the short iteration. The Demon Lord Sparta rebelled against the king of hell, essentially. Mundus, who was his lord, who is the original partaker of the fruit and creator of the Qyploth. He betrayed him and all his minions for Earth because he fell in love with a human woman, Dante and Virgil's mother. But there is and this is why we need a Sparta game. I have said for years now, Devil May Cry needs to do a Sparta game. They need to do a game around Sparta's rebellion. Because if you do that, it would fill in all these gaps that got created. Because even Resident Evil has this problem now. And I'm not saying that it should restart or anything, because that could kill it. These kind of series die if you try to restart them. But even, this is also why I think they pulled some triggers pretty quick in the new Resident Evil, but that's a whole nother subject. But they still made it work. But that being said is why I think they need to do a game on it. Short story short, he rebelled against Sparta, saved humanity, sealed the demons off with Mundus in hell for a certain amount of years. Went to have a normal life as the guardian of humanity. I gave him that name because that's basically what he did. Any demons who came to the surface and snuck through the gate, kind of like his sons do, like Dante does, basically he deals with them. The Knight Sparta is what he's called. This is also why the cult from Devil May Cry 4 exists. The one that Nero meets Kyrie from, they worship Sparta. Because originally, Sparta was the one protecting humanity from hell. And it's like, so it's like, and over many millennia of this, because I don't think people realize how old Dante actually is. And I don't think they realize how old Virgil actually probably is. Now, he probably had Nero closer to modern times, because of Nero's age, and Nero's more human, I think, than even Dante and Virgil. Because, as they say, as you keep hybridizing, this is just genetics, as you keep hybridizing, the hybrid is not going to be, it's going to be further and further away from the original version. That's just fact genetically. That's just how that is, okay? It's just how nature works. And it's like, so, I think because Nero is more human, and if Kyrie ends up getting her own story of who I think she is, it might end up even being kind of Tekken-like, and it ends up, we get the other side of that spectrum we've never seen in Devil May Cry. Because if you've ever noticed, there's one side of this battle that has never been shown. Where are all the angels? If devils exist in this universe, why are there no angels? So I have an assumption on that too, but there's no way to go into that, and I don't think Devil May Cry has even fully touched on that, other than one game that was bad, that was trying to reboot the series. But I do think they want to incorporate them, and I think Kyrie might be a hint towards that. But especially when you see what Nero represents and what he's going to become, because I think maybe even Virgil married someone from that cult, and maybe that's who had his child. This would make more sense, because I mean, if you're a part of a group that worships Sparta, and you know the son of Sparta, I mean, just saying, that's Chad 9,000 levels of of advantage that they're gonna give you. Just saying. And it's like, so that's the short story short. So that's the short story of it. So let's get to the next part. Alright, so Sparta, peace happens. Sparta defends Earth as the Knight Sparta. He has two sons with their mother, Dante and Virgil. But here's something that I do know I read that is canon. Mundus apparently cursed Sparta somehow. It doesn't say what this curse is. It never has. This is why I think a prequel game would be better than another sequel. Even though I would love to see a Dante and Virgil game directly together as a co-op game, as the next version of them going down doing the same thing Dad did, but to Mundus, and taking over the kingdom and making everything right completely, or maybe even taking it even somewhere else. But I also think preferably I would prefer a prequel story on Sparta to cover why this is important, this whole little scene right here. Because I do think a lot of people, because Devil May Cry, and this is also a problem, like Farseer just said, because she never played all the original Devil May Crys, and this isn't her fault, it's also the age of Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry started when I was young, or younger. Like late 90s, early 2000s. Like the very first one. Like it was like PS2, PS1. I can't remember. I think it's PS2. Maybe PS3. It's pushing it. I think I'll say PS2. I can't remember exactly. But is basically hold on, let me read chat. Hold on, I don't want to get too offset. Let's see, Magnus is not two beings. He was shattered and was rebuilt, but he doesn't save his noble shard. Have his noble shard that has his good personality. Yes, but what I'm saying is each piece has a core piece. Even in the stories of Magnus, each small versions of him and other pieces of him still have facsimiles of the base version. This is why even Demon Virgil is coming back to the source. And I don't think it's just Virgil bringing him here. I think this is also Mundus in here. I think Mundus is a part of this just as much as Dante's bloodline is. Because once again, there's a curse that we're not sure what it is that was befacted on top of what do you call it? Was befacted on top of whatever Sparta's like original bloodline had to deal with. Because whoever Sparta comes from, and here's a theory I even have even deeper. Because they've never said yay or nay to this. Nothing says whether Sparta is Mundus' son or not. There could be a very real reality that they're all sons of Mundus. Directly. Because Sparta is the son of Mundus. And it's like, so I'm almost positive to a certain extent that that's what this represents. But back to what I was saying, and why I think that voice line is actually I killed her. Once again, it's not like Dante means I went out of that closet and killed my own mother. He means he probably saw Virgil kill her. is what my assumption is. Because if that curse is what I think it is, and if you look at Virgil's history, it's almost like he's infected. It's almost like there's something inside of Virgil that's vying for control over Virgil. And in this scene over here, let me get back to it. So let's watch this scene again. Look at this. So this, if you had to argue, this on the ground is mostly Mundus, if I had my assumption. This is the curse. This is the infection. Because it comes from their own... Because once again, if we do end up ever finding out maybe Sparta ends up being the son of Mundus, this is actually naturally from their bloodline. This is actually a competing factor. Something that's also a basic mechanic and basic storyline of all of Devil May Cry is even Dante said he had to fight his own demon to make sure he was the one that came out on top. Now, he may still turn into it and become the ravaging devil trigger self that he can become, the Sparta level of his father that he embodies, that Dante becomes. Dante represents what Sparta figured out, right? Like, Sparta figured this out on his own and made that representation. And then Virgil took it in the other direction, gave in to the infection, made the demons speak louder, and basically embraced older roots. Essentially almost like a family legacy fighting with itself from two different feuding families. And it's like vying for control. This is the Sparta side. This is the Mundus side.
Do
My
not
thing
struggle.
is, I still heard the word
Or
T.
if you can't even defeat me.
I still don't hear that there. I
then
think
you've
y'all are
already
just
lost.
trying to hear the word T. There's no T there because you can hear Dante say the word it later in that conversation, which we've already heard it, but that he literally says the word it again, but you hear him say the T. People don't speak different ways in their words. That's a psychological fact. When you have a certain way you say a word, whether it be country lingo or wherever you come from, your dialect that makes you speak the way you speak, or way you learned it as a child or as you grew up around influences, that doesn't change. That's ingrained. So that means that's the voice actor reading it and saying it like he read it. Because when you hear him say the same word, like not even a minute later, in a different sentence, and you hear how he pronounces that word, or she, and depending on who you're talking about, that will tell you on what's wrong. Is it the subtitle? Or did the actor or actress just kind of slur their word? You have to base it on general consensus. When you start to look too deep and try to hear it just because you want to hear it, you're now basing it on, once again, your own optics. You have to look at another example that's factually provided in physical representation. And there is one in here, in the same scene.
Will not lose.
It was
Not
like
to
so.
Dante. I need power. More power.
I know. We are one and the same, you and I. But you've lost me. And I've lost you. Yet we are connected by that one feeling. While thy branches mix with mine.
Alright,
And
now
our
let's go to the
roots.
Virgil part.
What is this? Virgil.
And there's something else that shows me that something else might have been at play too. He doesn't even know who his... I mean, granted, he might not even know that he got some, like, maybe had a child before he went out, got a baby before something kicked in and drew him away from it. But it's also something to be said about for some reason, Virgil does not recognize Nero at all. Not even power signature-wise. Think about that. There's no way these demons don't sense each other. That's got to be some sort of pretense for that in this universe. If they didn't, they wouldn't recognize each other even in different forms. But it's like, it's like, so I do think that representation there for that. Oopsies, nope, we're not going into that realm right now. That's a whole nother bag of worms. But, it's like, I'll check it, I'll chalk it down to drunken night of mistakes. I mean, maybe, but I mean, once again, that means you're saying that he was drunk that night, he did his voice acting, maybe, I guess, but I still think that, like I said, I always go off of the common sense answer. And the common sense answer, if you read and understand how people talk, people have a certain way they talk. Every one of us do. How we pronounce every single word specifically. How we mispronounce words, or not able to pronounce certain words either. So, like me not being able to say certain words at all. I forget which one as an example, but if I ever come up with one, I'll show you, because I literally brain-wise cannot say it. It's a hardwired thing. It's why languages are hardwired too, the more you do them. And why they say eventually, once you learn a language, you stop speaking the language in translation. You speak the language as an understanding. Because there's a difference in translating a language and truly speaking it. And I mean that even when you're speaking the language of someone who hasn't... So like, let's say if I started speaking Japanese. At first I'm going to, even while speaking it, I'm going to be translating it in my head. Meaning I'm going to be trying to come up and remember every single time for a while in the beginning. What does this word mean? What does this word mean in English? What does this word mean in English? And eventually when your brain stops doing that, it will kick over to instinct and it will now properly communicate in Japanese to where it's not translating in English, it's talking in Japanese. I know that sounds confusing. I actually saw a video on that earlier. And it's like, I should have kept that one. But, so it's almost an instinctual thing. When you have been talking all your life, you grew up around your own language, your own type of, like, pronunciations or colloquialisms. See, there's one of the words I can barely say. Colloquialisms. See? And that's a hardwired thing. It would take me forever to hardwire that out. Now, I could eventually if I said it hard enough and said it long enough. Because it's a harder word. Can't speak, man. Didn't Nero get acknowledged when he was able to fight with Sin Devil Virgil? He did. But once again, Dante said it though. Dante's the one. Dante. Hold on. Farseer said something, but Dante's the one. I'll say this real quick. Dante's the one that tells Virgil, "This is your son." Virgil doesn't know that until after he's told. So it's like, so that should tell you something isn't right there. What erased his memories? Especially if they're now together again. Shouldn't realistically that he had just absorbed the other side? So something got in the way. And even V talked about that if you watch a lot of his earlier cutscenes. He even speaks on, we lost something. And he's talking both in two different junctures. He's talking about the separation of him and the other version of him. But I think he's also talking about we lost something as a whole. I think it means that we lost what made us a son of Sparta. And you actually see him acknowledge this a bit at the end of Devil May Cry. Not only to what he says to Nero, finally, and realizing what he lost, and that he needs to regain it. But realizing his brother has beat him yet again. And now his own son is schooling him. So it's like, do you really think you have power? Following that same chain Mundus came from. That your father destroyed. And it's like if you want true power, you need to look at your brother and go, yeah, somehow Dante got it right, and I did not. Sometimes you have to admit it. And it could be, yeah, how do we only know it was 2? Maybe there's a third one floating around out there. Because here's something else interesting. I don't think this matters. I think this is just design, what I'm about to point out. But let me, look at this. Look at this right here. His jacket is black and silver. Now, if you've played, for anyone who's never played Devil May Cry 3, hold on, this is safe. I can just do this on Google. Devil May Cry 3 Virgil. Look at the difference. I don't want to put anything up with anything on, so we'll do this one. Actually, this is probably a better show of the jacket. So you see how the jacket is the same, but look at the one nuance missing here. It's got the same line, silverish line through it that represents something here, but something is missing. And part of me still wonders if, like you just, like what Farseer just said, I wonder if it's not finished. And I think I know what it is, and I actually think I know who the third shard is. But that also could get into some really complicated things. I actually think the third piece is Nero. I actually think that Nero is ironically, because if you look at Nero's jacket and what color it is, and he's got red on the inside to kind of represent the Dante side. Yeah, and then if you look at the hand Nero has said, it has been said that in Nero's own story in Devil May Cry 4, even though he said it was a gypsy that did this, I actually wonder if that was his mother. I've had this assumption for a long time, that in Devil May Cry 4, Nero says that a long time, when he's talking to Kyrie or somebody in Devil May Cry 4 in one of the older cutscenes, he says, yeah, a gypsy cursed my hand with a demon, a devil's arm, and merged it with my body. But the way he explains it is the arm comes out of his arm, meaning his arm turned into that arm. And we all know what happens when they transform. They turn into their actual demon forms. And when you see the full transformation of his form in 5, with the fact that I have a hunch on what maybe actually it was and it wasn't a curse, I think whatever that was someone trying to awaken the Virgil blood inside of Nero, which started the process. And see, I don't remember if Virgil just didn't want to accept his son Nero, or that he quite literally didn't know anything about it. Well, that's what we don't know. Actually, there's no confirmation either way on that. Because here's the thing, there's a lot of jokes out there about it, but I actually don't think Nero, or excuse me, Virgil, at least this version of Virgil. Now, I do think maybe the blue one might have known. I think the one that died in Timonegru at the end of Devil May Cry 3, or fell into the pit and back into hell with Mundus, because keep that in mind. This is where the crux of everything begins. During the end of Devil May Cry 3, when Virgil is fighting Dante in the final fight, if I ever get a chance to do this fight, I wouldn't mind doing it for you guys. Actually, you know what? Let's just look it up. Hold on. Devil May Cry 3 final battle. Does it show Virgil final boss? Yeah, okay. This is gonna be real old, chat. Get ready for a flashback, because this is gonna be make your eyes look like you're looking into the past.
Give that to me. No way. You got your own. Well, I want yours too. What are you gonna do with all that power, huh? No matter how hard you try, you're never gonna be like Father. You're wasting time.
You heard what he said? You heard what he said? No matter how hard you try with what you're doing, you will never be like Father. Man. They were really young at this point. Just let everyone know.
Within each of us flows his blood. But more importantly, his soul!
Yep, see that? See, I think that we forgot the distinguishment that got made here. This is what I think 5 is feeding on, is this exact scene. Is where 5, I think, was born from. And why they went with where they went with it. Because this whole dynamic of what they're saying. Let me know if you can't hear him. His is kind of low for some reason. I do think there could be maybe a daughter out there, but there's no mention of a sister, but who knows. I think it'll be more likely we'll just see another child of, like, Dante and stuff like that, but let's let this continue.
And now, my soul is saying it wants to stop you!
Unfortunately, our souls are at odds, brother.
So, he said blood versus soul. He said the blood of Sparta runs through us both, but so does his soul. And I think that's the distinguishment between the blood is the infection almost. Not literally an infection, but the blood itself is the demon side. The blood itself is the mundus. It's the thing that they all come from that tries to drag them back down to Mundus and what he represents. And that's what Virgil gave into, whatever that may mean. Whether it was against his will, or whether it was truly happening because he just couldn't get it. And then what's about to happen at the end of this solidifies why I think he's broken in half, and why the infection got even deeper.
I need more power.
Note that sentence. Remember the one on the ground said that. In 5.
And we're supposed to be twins.
Did it reconnect properly? Wait, it did it so fast I think we're good. Are y'all still here, chat? Chat, we good? Still here? It actually disconnected for a brief moment and came back. Thankfully it was so fast it kept it up. But alright.
Am I being defeated? What's wrong? Is that all you got? Come on, get up. You can do better than that.
The human world is closing, Dante. Because the amulets have been separated.
Let's finish this, Virgil. I have to stop you. Even if that means killing you.
Did you catch that, chat? Did you catch something there very specific?
No one can have this, Dante. It's mine. It belongs to a son of Sparta. Leave me and go, if you don't want to be trapped in the demon world. I'm staying. This place was our father's home.
And so he plunged into the darkness. So yeah. Let's go back. There's a remaster version. Alright, so yeah, so did you notice that Virgil missed that shot at the very end? I actually think there was a part of him that, like I said, I think there's a conflict going on inside Virgil. I think there's two voices. I think he's been fighting something that he didn't want to elaborate on until the very end, and he finally came to terms with it when Dante beat him in that battle. And he knew something wasn't right. And now that we know about Nero years later, that sentence Virgil says as he falls kind of makes even more sense. This is something that's meant for a son of Sparta. And so it's like, like I said, I think Nero is the noble shard. I think that Nero is that piece that sacrificed itself in order for Virgil to be redone. I think that that's a representation of truly who Virgil is. I don't know. It could be a big stretch. It really could be. But there's a lot of things that point to it. And the fact that Virgil fell into the darkness, that's why you got this version. Hold on, I mean, that's why this version exists. I mean, this is him falling down there. And once again, if you go to Devil May Cry 1, Neo Angelo Virgil is in that game, which is basically a servant of Mundus. Because that's where you fight Mundus with Dante. That's Dante's first fight with Mundus when Mundus breaks out of hell. Or attempts to break out of hell. And Dante puts him back. Just like his father did. And it's like, so, I do think it's either going to turn out that Nero's a huge piece of this, and that's why he was able to do at the end what he did, which we probably can't get to that now. No, I'll have to look it up again. That one. So this is the one where they're at the top of the tree and Virgil's fully reformed, or at least as far as we know.
Hey, Virgil! Your portal opening days are over. Give me the Amato.
If you want it, then you'll have to take it. But you already knew that.
Yeah, you see, okay, actually, let me rewind that. You see how different the code is? I mean, it's the same. It's the same code. Literally identical, just like Dante's.
Give me the Amato.
There's no blue.
If you want it, then you'll have to take it.
It's all black. And I guess you could say, oh, they were trying to make him look more edgy, and I'm like, I guess, but I think this actually even itself says something, and it represents something. And it's like, because when you look at Nero, Nero's colors are now blue.
But you already knew that.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
Also, by the way, the sword you saw him fight in Devil May Cry 3, by the way, good hint of knowledge for you, that's actually the same sword. it's the devil. It's his version of the devil sword is what it's called. It's the devil sword Dante, as we saw. But it's formed of him finally accepting the devil sword Sparta into his blood. Yamato is already Virgil's version of this.
How many times have we fought?
Hard to say.
Also, another tidbit of interesting fact for you. The medallion that Dante had during Devil May Cry 3 is right here in the tip of the hilt of the sword. So Dante's, if we're going off soul shard kind of logic, Dante's pure soul shard exists in the tip of the sword. This sword is an embodiment of him now.
It's the only memory I have of us since we were kids. to finish this, Virgil. Once and for all.
Let's skip the battle.
I won't.
Right there. I like you finished it in Phoenix. Smart. It's like right there. Whoa, that was a good grab. Ah, I missed mine when I was really good at Devil May Cry.
Nero is my son. Yeah, dumbass.
Yeah, see? He didn't know. That right there. There's the other scene I was talking about. He didn't... I know why Nero didn't know. That makes sense. But, like, Virgil didn't know. So there's something still missing.
Remember
Because if
that
that's the case... Because let's say he was whole. Shouldn't he know that? We're going to put this in two terms. Human terms and weird Warhammer terms. Like Magnus terms. Let's put it in Magnus terms first. Because that'll be more likely to be, you could argue, you could just write out he doesn't remember. But, because he's, you know, da-da-da. But it's like, but then arguably it's like, yeah, but even under that logic, if he's shard-based and one of the shards is missing, this would explain memory lapse. Because there's no way he wouldn't have remembered creating another shard. Unless the shard itself is the missing memory. You get the redundancy in that? And it's the same thing for the human aspect. I mean, we all know, I shouldn't have to explain how human children are born. Okay? It's like, you're gonna tell me he doesn't remember nothing? I don't know about you, I doubt that's true. Unless you have like unless once again you had a medical injury, concussion, whatever. But he's a demon. So that kind of normal human logic for why the memory is gone doesn't make sense. So I think he's not whole. I think he's still a fractured version of himself. I think we're seeing a new version of him, but I also think that version is not the whole version. And there's Mundus, by the way. That's the end battle with Mundus. I have not seen that cutscene in so long. It's Virgil. Dude probably yelled out power, motivation while doing the deed. Probably, but not. All jokes aside, though, it's like, you'd still remember that. Especially if he did enough power to do the deed correctly. It's like, you'd still remember.
Skull of yours?
It's even Dante's question. So you know what that tells me? Hold on. Let's listen to that sentence real quick again.
Remember through that thick skull of yours?
So wait a minute. So even Dante's confused by this. So that means, you know what that tells me? Dante was around when this happened. Because also there's something else. How did Dante know Nero was Virgil's son? People are like, well, he sensed it when he came to fight with him at the chapel. No. I mean, you could argue maybe, but I mean, if that were the case, then why not, like, deal with it right then and there and then just take everything he has so he doesn't get in trouble and get sucked into the same problem Virgil has, right? I just, my logic behind that is the fact that Dante clearly is confused by Virgil not knowing this means that Dante also knew about this. But we already knew his side. We already knew he knew. But that shows you how long that knowledge has been present. So what has happened? See, there are people like that. I mean, there are, but it's a video game, though. Maybe you could chalk in that's that simple. I would hope that's not the case, but I would think that that's really at that point. If that's the case, then it's like, well, then then the writing just won't go any further than I guess if that's the case. But and there's not much you can do about that. But as far as like, I just fail to believe that it's just that simple, right? It's just because Virgil's an asshole. I don't think it's that. Because there's a whole comic book series, and I recommend you look it up, that's canon for the Devil May Cry universe, that covers when Virgil and Dante ran Devil May Cry together. And yes, they did used to do that. So, there's something missing. There's something here that's not being said. So both of them were probably fighting over who finished last. Narrow existing shows who lost. Okay, that's also somewhat believable, but even then, you'd still remember it, because then you'd be able to hold that over Dante. You see how that makes no sense on any level, even joking terms? That's why I laugh. I think that's funny. Keep it on joking terms. If I were Virgil and I knew that, and that was actually, let's say that was the truth, as terrible as a outcome that would be, and a backstory as that would be, I'd sure as hell make fun of Dante for that. I'm not even gonna front. I'd be holding it over him on this fight so hard. Oh, it says the person who couldn't even get a woman pregnant. Like, no way that he would not count that over Dante. Because he would consider himself more powerful. He'd even consider that on nature, saying that Dante is weak. Okay? That's Virgil mentality 101 if we're going under that logic. So why would he not bring that up? If Dante brings it up, you know. Let me see. I meant lasted longer. That's true. Virgil remembers the power, but not the consequences, for all he wanted was the power of the deed. I mean, maybe, once again, this could be the case, but now hopefully not, because that'd be, like I said, very sad end-scale writing, which means Devil May Cry really doesn't have much of a future beyond 5, sadly. If that's the case. And that's not a bad thing, necessarily. Not every series is meant to continue on, but if that were the case, I'd be very sad if that's why it ended. I'd be fine if they just decide not to go any further with it, even if it is what I say it is. Like, let's say even if I'm 100% right. Even if they decided not to pursue it. That's still completely fine up to them. But and up to them and stuff like that. But I don't know, it's very, very odd, some of the wording that goes on that kind of shows you that something is deeper beneath the hood. But yeah, let's let it play.
Well, that was a long time
See,
ago.
now, okay, so now there's some sort of memory was triggered there, but you see how he's not fully acknowledging it? It's almost so weird. It's almost, and if you've ever seen someone with amnesia, that's kind of how that works, right? So it's almost like until Dante said it, this show had no idea what he was talking about. But also even further acknowledging what Dante just said about that he remembers something. So, is what so it's like, also, how do we know Dante didn't one night stand his way through every motel he stayed at? He might have, but then why have we never seen any of his children? Or if we have, why are they fiddle-faddling and not saying they're his children? Right? Because then that would be on Capcom if that's true, right? Let's say that is true, and Dante does have more children than Virgil. I mean, he technically, in my opinion, should. I'm not going to hate on Virgil too hard. I like Virgil. He's one of my more favorites. But at the end of the day, I am more resonant with Dante, even though I love Virgil and I grew up on Virgil. And I originally used to resonate with this in the middle of my life, but I realized I did the same thing Virgil did in my life. This is why Devil May Cry means so much to me as a video game growing up on it. From one all the way to 5. Except for the weird one that was from a different universe, where Virgil's wearing a bowler hat. But anyways. Which, in a way, what that game should have been like a prequel. Instead of that game being an alternative universe of these two, that game should have been a prequel about these two when they were still helping each other. Back way when they were running Devil May Cry. So, it's... Oh, my chat went all the way. Where did it do that? It does sometimes the YouTube app. That's really strange. I gotta get to the bottom. Strong pull-out gear. I mean, maybe. I mean, then again, I guess at least there's that. But that also still... I mean, that's just the funniness of Dante then at that point. But that's still like... I don't know, there's just something about this. We're gonna continue on. By the way, wait, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. By the way, Farseer, where are you at in Arc Knights is where the story pacing starts to accelerate. Oh, what I was reading right there. And gets better.
Go. I guess you were young once too. As much as I'd love to hear that story, I think it's about time.
Yeah, see, okay, so Dante doesn't know the whole thing. He knows he was present at least somewhat in his life during this time. Virgil got triggered there, remembered a portion of it, but all his response was, because I bet you it was almost a fragmented memory like having amnesia does. He probably remembered it almost like a photograph flashing in front of his mind. Remembering that he had a son, but not why and how and when and what really made him make that decision, who she was, or who the mother was, probably. Because he gave no names, and even Dante says right here, and I would love to have seen Dante probe this further, if he had time for this. This is why if they do a sequel, I want a proper sequel where they're on each other's side again. I want the next story to be about Virgil. Like, I want it to fully be about Virgil. If they're not going to do the Sparta thing and go back and explain Sparta, their father, I do think the next one needs to be where this one ends and they're down in the, where it looks like it's going to show that, so. Where they're down in the other realm again, and now they're both down in the demon world, but now they're fighting together as brothers to help, to fix the problem. Which, if you know your Devil May... once again, for everyone who doesn't, for the Devil May Cry lore, in Devil May Cry 1, when you beat Mundus, you don't fully kill him. You kill him on Earth, but he returns to the demon world. Meaning he still is king down there. So, it's like... So, technically, Mundus has never died. We could technically bring him back and almost harken right back into Devil May Cry 1, but this time, both brothers are present. And having almost an alternate path is now kicked in, because the family has finally found its path, right? That sounds a bit like corny, but you know what I mean. Although once again, this is more 90s built driven drama, that kind of makes sense. So, I do think, I do think 100% that we need to see in the next game. Even though it'll have both of them in there, the game needs to be about their past, but it needs to focus on Virgil, but use Dante as an accent, since we know more of his history, to fill in the gaps. And I feel like that would work. See, demon genes might not be for ordinary humans. See. Oh, come on, be for real, Verser. These two can break universes apart with their demon side. For all we know, their genes would be way too volatile. Well, I mean, in real life, yes. Celia's probably right. It depends on if they're really demons. Because once again, I mean, realistically, humans if we survive long enough, who's to say thousands of years now, we won't be able to do things like these guys. Maybe not look like these guys when they transform, and even that, who knows. Genetically, when it comes to genetics. But that being said, it's like, I don't know, it depends on how you break down demon. In the mythical terms, this is true. If you're just going straight demon, mythical world, sure. But because this is, once again, a video game on top of that, let me say that too. But in real life, Sparta would probably just be a different species. This is the assumption that if you do believe like I do and have faith and stuff like that, I do somewhat believe in demons and I do believe in angels and things like that. So, but even then, to my brain, the way I see it, even with my faith, I also see it that if these things exist, most likely if there's a physical version of them, this is for everyone out there. I believe they exist, but for everyone out there, I like to play neutral on my cards. If these things exist, then most likely the fact of the matter is they're just another form of life that's a part of the greater scheme of things, much like us. So in that argument, much like the demons of doom are not really demons, this means they'd be compatible with humans, or could be compatible with humans, which means Sparta's story is likely. But that's a whole nother discussion.
We ended this.
So like that part. Now you're gonna notice his demon, not this one, but when we get to Virgil, something did stay in there, which is why I think Nero is the noble shard, which we'll show in a minute. Boom. So pause. So you note the blue is here. But even this, if you look at the blue demon form from the Devil May Cry 3 fight, there's still more silver and black than there is blue. The energy is clearly coming from the same place. But still, overall, I look at this and then look at Virgil's original version of this, and Neo Angelo Virgil as well, which is what part of that also flows into this. And I go, So it cut out part of it. It did cut out Nero's part, which is kind of strange. Unless it's gonna go, it might go back and show that, but that's gonna disappoint it. So let's go back and let's show him in between them real quick. I want to get a wide angle right there. Okay. Alright. And this is actually something funny I realized looking at Dante's older demon forms when you're transforming in older games. This was like Devil May Cry 3 was like. This is what Dante used to look like when he first started transforming. This is before you truly embrace your powers. But I'm going to note something interesting. Do you see his arms right here? And the design of this? Now, if you rewind and look at what Virgil's demon form looked like in Devil May Cry 3. Actually, let's pull that up real quick. Virgil's demon form in Devil May Cry 3. Not forum. Virgil's demon. Why is it not showing it? Okay, here we go. That's the new one, right? Hold on, I gotta make sure. Yeah, that's the new one. I need the old one. It's this one. Okay, here we go. This is both of them. Okay, actually, yeah. This is good. Oh, it's on Reddit. Yeah. Oh, well. It's as big as we're gonna get it, probably, to be fair. So... But life finds a way. T-Rex walks out of the bathroom. But, alright, so look... that's blurry, though. Hold on. Can I get a better one than that? We'll just look at it right here. Do you see how... So look at Dante's chest. And there's actually a good comparison of it here, too. But I mostly want to point out Virgil real quick. So you see the horns are the same as the new form. And he's still got his side blade that he keeps on his wrist, which is right here in this picture for the new version. But if you see this here, so look at that right there. And then look at that. So this is this is what's called a normal devil trigger. What you're seeing here, these two, sin devil trigger. Meaning these two have achieved a much higher level of like merging of their blood together in their genes and actually can control the true Sparta devil, is what this used to be called, from their blood. But in the beginning it looks like this. Also want to point something else out that's very interesting. That also, these right here are weaker than these. Even if this one is fractured. Even if Virgil is still fractured, this is still a lesser form. Meaning they're outputting far more strength here. But yet, look what happened. So this should show you how powerful Nero actually might be. Which is part of the reason, once again, I think... Also, look at his hand right here. Even though it's blacker. I wish I could get a better... That one's more blue. Hold on. I like how they showed Nero's Dante Virgil form, but... it's not a better one, sadly, but... You see how the structure of the arm for both of these is also akin to this? Now, of course, he's a son of Sparta, but it's almost mirroring this. Saiyan versus Super Saiyan versus Vegeta, exactly. And it's like, but... Now, of course, there's so many other assumptions I could go into or not going to go into because I have no factual evidence other than the wings and things I've seen in Devil May Cry 4. The story of Kyrie, which might even be she's from the same place that technically even Virgil, or excuse me, Nero's mother could have been from, for all we know. And the reason why I say that is something just tells me... I've always said this. Virgil's mentality, even during his stable years, if you've seen that comic book, probably wouldn't be the easiest to put up with as a lady. Like, it'd take a really specific type of woman to be really, really fine with this. And I don't mean the form. I mean, where is it? I mean, where is it? Be a smart... I mean this. I mean, just
Then
this. It's like it would take a very specific type of woman to be able to have the strength to handle this. And once again, it logically makes sense that since we now know canonly there is a cult that's existed for countless time, even before Dante's era, meaning existed during Sparta's era, that basically followed Sparta, the knight Sparta, and worshipped him, and have other hybrids basically kind of following in suit of what Sparta's example is. Now, they got corrupted by that crazy old man. Always happens, man. You always gotta watch out for the crazy old Insidious-like types. If it's telling you, good, then that's not what you want. And it's like, but, same principle, though. It's like, but I do think that the actual, like, belief in cult for Sparta itself, this is more accurately Goku versus Vegeta versus Broly. Yeah, technically. And it's like, so... That being said, it's like, my brain's like, it'd have to be someone who just had to have known who he was, right? There's no way it was just like Dante's joke that it was a random. You know, that's why I said I'd love to hear that story sometimes. Now, Dante, you'd believe, would go out there and maybe go out to a bar, maybe meet a lady, have a few drinks, and they have maybe a nightly fun time, and didn't exactly play it safe, and end up with a little narrow. But Virgil's not like that. Even in the comic books, he does not behave like that. He's the if you want a good example, even though I've already done episodes on this, Punishing Gray Raven does a great representation of what I think Virgil actually is like when he's in control. When he's not letting the demons speak over him. He's letting his human be the one making the decisions. Is because if you hear the way Virgil speaks to Dante and PGR and the end result of the Punishing Gray Raven crossover, and Capcom even kind of made a release I read when they were kind of promoting the PGR release, saying they want this to kind of be a pseudo, they didn't say canon, but a pseudo Virgil and Dante truly coming to what they were supposed to be. Almost like they were saying they may not make another game, but they want you to know this was what it was supposed to have come to, and this was the truth about it. And they did a pretty good job in that with not spoiling it. But it also could be a promotion. There's also an assumption out there that people are saying they did that to promote maybe getting another Devil May Cry going that is about both of them. But we'll see. Something more like Devil May Cry 3 again, but this time, you're playing both sides. You're playing Virgil and Dante's perspective as they're down there in the demon world. Pray DMC6. If it comes out, don't nuke your entire dude. I mean, they could. Like I said, there could end up being something way more simple to this. Virgil may not have even had anything to do with his mother's death. Mundus may have done that directly. There's always the simple answer to that. Because we do know that even confirmed by Capcom, demons did attack the house that day. So demons were attacking Dante and Virgil in their mother's house when she was hiding Dante in the closet. It wasn't just the house was on fire. And stuff like that. So, we do know that. But, once again, this could have just been Mundus. Since it all ties back to Mundus anyways. No matter which one it talks about. Because the one true crux out of all these are the ones I said to begin with. The virus, the curse, or I'm going to say curse. The curse of Mundus, as I'm going to call it, in the Sparta bloodline, which is, and one could argue, the demon form itself. And things like that. This is why I think we need a Sparta backstory. I think we need to know more about Sparta before we can truly ascertain more about anything about either of the brothers fully. Even with all the even if we get more about their backstory, there's probably going to be still one aching question. Why is it that Dante and Virgil have the same struggle but different reactions to the same thing inside of them? So I do think that's why I think we need a backstory on who Sparta is. Reactions walking in his art not makes his theory. Retcons walking in his... It's like, and that's like I said, but it's like some things I said, they're definitely, I know they're canon. The thing about Virgil maybe taking out his own mother, and that's why Dante considers himself responsible for it, because they're brothers. He's like, why didn't I stop my brother from hurting our mother? Because there's got to be some sense of, there's no way they don't know they're the son of Sparta even when they're children. Also, you didn't see Sparta in that situation. So my assumption is, this is why, once again, we need a Sparta game. Because why was Sparta not there? There's even a third option that Sparta could have went mad, and that maybe the demon slowly destroys you. That maybe it drives you animalistic eventually, and Sparta couldn't fight it anymore. Maybe he's the one that destroyed the house and killed his own wife. We don't know this. But something definitely big happened that day that destroyed Virgil's basically stability. Because once again, he's missing in that scenario. So where is he? Now he's gonna be a kid, or at least his human side. I don't know how a demon would look in that age, but in this game or this universe, but his human side is the age you see her putting Dante in the closet. They're twins, so you see the height she was. So I'm guessing, like, at best 10 years old, 12 is the height, that is the age he was when she put him in Dante in that closet to hide him from whatever was going on. So that means Virgil was that age too. So he's not like he's going out there in human form, rocking and slapping and let's rocking the house around and taking demons out, unless he's one of the ones already in the house, or once again been kidnapped by the demons. Even there's there's several congealing like pathways that happen here, because here's where the answer gets vague, because there is nothing to say otherwise in no direction. There's no disconfirmation, no confirmation, no anything. This is why I build my theories the way I do, even with Resident Evil, even though I get most of them right. Actually, so far all of them. Even with Resident Evil Requiem. Boy, I can't wait till we get to that can of worms that just happened. But it's like I said, I just have a good sense of these things. Now, I'm not saying I'm always going to be right, but when it comes to video gaming, I may not have experience in any other field as much. Maybe AI a little bit. But maybe still not even still close to what I'm about to say. But I've been studying, learning, trying to be a part of gaming, and then technically studying, actually, even though it didn't do me any good as far as professionally, taking college and studying is, at least in video gaming, it does in some degrees. Like STEM degrees and things like that, you definitely want college degrees and you want to go to college. But I am learning something very disturbing when it comes to other things. Like AI and all that, like Celie's doing, you want to go to college. You need to do that, because that's considered, to me, that would be considered STEM at the end of the day anyways. But like video game design and all that, I almost argue, yes, it's going to teach you things that I think a lot of people do need to know. But I also think that if you just had common sense and you learned these things and you did your research, you would end up coming to the same conclusion. So, that being said, so Capcom hire War and Heaven writers to do that would be terrible. I mean, there's always a chance a story could be ruined. That was my worry with Resident Evil Requiem. People have been screaming that this is going to be one of those games, right? Like, a lot of people are saying maybe it could be until Leon showed up. And me and Tam King talked about this. Part of me and Tam King believe that Leon might not have originally been in the game. Now, part of me wants to say, my developer sense says no, because of how refined Leon's scene was when they finally showed it. It's too well done for me to be kind of thrown in at last second, along with the gameplay they added for him, and now there's going to be an interesting system that he's going to be capable of, showing something about Leon very special, I've always said. Especially after the Resident Evil 4. But there is a somewhat assumption and consensus that maybe that was not even originally planned, that they weren't going to do Leon, and that this was only going to be Ashcroft, the main character. I forget her first name for some reason. Me being a big nerd in Capcom and Resident Evil lore, the girl we are playing is the sister of a girl from Code Veronica. So this is definitely tied to the Ashcroft bloodline. So that being said, that in its core element is still the same. So they at least know how to do that. Capcom's at least somewhat okay in that way most of the time. I've never seen them shake too hard in that way. Yeah. I hope it never happens, but that's what a lot of people said. But even that being said, their backswing that they pulled, even if that was true, shows that it doesn't matter, because they still saved it, and it's still just as much a part of the lore that I kind of said as before. But, turns out Nero is Dante and Virgil's son. That would be hilarious. Turns out there was never a mother. It was between them fighting. And once again, I could actually come up with a story to make that make sense. Because under the argument, like Farseer said, the noble shard, I could come up with a way to make that make sense. And it's like, but that's if it were the case, right? But that's why I think we need a Sparta game. Because I think without Sparta... Alright, here's the scene where they're in the... Hold on, we're gonna go to this, because here's the scene... I like how it's showing all of Nero's scenes separately. Is this it? No, it's this. I need to go to the beginning of it, where Virgil talks to Nero after he separated them. I'm going to the end of the fight right there, probably.
Oh, hell no!
That was a good counter. I like that. He let him stab him with the Yamato. But actually, you know how stupid that would be for Virgil to actually do that to his own son? Because he's your son, that means that sword can awaken him and make him stronger every time you bloody do that. Just saying. That was good. I mean, it's just an AI. It's just part of the combo.
Interesting.
Well, that would have been dumb as hell.
Oh, brother. You cut off your own son's arm for more power, and you still lost.
Enough, damn it! The underworld is taking over. We need to do something before it's too late.
Also, there's a bit of purple in Nero's jacket, and what does red and blue together make
He's
as
right.
well? Once again, I
We need to
come
close
up
that
with a way to
portal.
make that make sense.
Hey, you lost, so you better do what
I
he
doubt
says.
that's truth out of all of them, but that would be the more wilder one.
I can still fight. But if those roots continue to spread through town, it'll just interfere with our business.
No, that's the smartest thing I've ever heard you say. Better hurry up. We still got a score to settle.
Evidently.
Wait! Where are you going?
We need to sever the Clifod roots from the underworld itself. Then we'll seal the portal with the Yamato.
Hang on. If you do that, you can't come back.
Why do you think I'm going? Somebody's got to keep an eye on your old man.
Here, and that right there, I almost think is a reference to 3 as well. Remember, Dante watched his own brother jump down into that pit by himself to deal with what was down there. So you see what Dante's doing here. Somebody's got to keep an eye on your old man down there.
You can't just expect me to stay here while you both go.
It's because you're here we can go. We're trusting you with things on this side. Capiche?
Make haste, Dante.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, wait!
You build theories on Warhammer and GW, slaps you with our explanation is better, your theory is toilet paper. And that's true. And once again, these can happen. But it'll also show that I think the general consensus, like, even if part of what I'm saying is wrong, the consensus of what everyone probably thinks between these two and Sparta is about the same. Everyone wants to know more about Sparta. Everyone pretty sure is consensus on something about Sparta has his legacy and what started with Mundus is the whole reason why Virgil is the way he is, why Dante's so protective of Virgil, why Virgil even had Nero in the first place. So it's like, I have a feeling all of this, at least no matter how it ends up being told, is the core essence. Now, if you change that core essence, that's where the the Warhammer, like what Farseer just said, they come out and just completely rewrite the narrative. Like, this would be like almost turning around and saying, oh, sorry, Dante got it wrong. Nero's not Virgil's son, he's his son. Right? And just to try to float another boat to sink the original. Once the original boat is set, this boat has to sail in the same direction. This is why I've always said with why certain IPs fall into the ground. When a new writer takes over and then they try to replace the previous writing, that series is dead. This is why Marathon's a failure. This is why certain other games that tried to get redone were a failure. And why even when Devil May Cry tried to do it itself, I mean, they tried that once. They tried to redo it and do that weird one. Once again, there's a universe where Virgil wears a bowler hat. In that universe, they tried to change it and mold it. Now, what's funny is the concept of that world was actually really interesting. Because I actually think it's the pseudo-original concept of this world. They just never fully grasped onto it. But I think they wanted to repaint these characters. And the time that that game got released in, and we all know what year it was during an era where certain things were pretty prominent that we're now fighting back against today. These two characters would be frowned upon during that time. They're too manly. They're too gruff. They're too gruff McGruff. These types of characters would have been hugely dethroned during that time. Which is why I think Capcom tried to remodel them, but not realizing you can't do that when you've already established characters. But made up for that later on down the road with 4 and 5 being what it accumulated into this. So. Wow! By the way, it took them both to do that? You find that funny?
Take care, Nero.
That's the first time that you know what's funny about that? I made a joke about this when I first saw this, and it just brought it back up to my mind. Man, that was the first time Nero's actually got to slap his son for being a disobedient ass. And it's like somehow GW know how to excite and fuck us at the same time. They have an amazing stories, but they also theory bust all the popular theories. Well, that's because they don't follow previous writing. Now, one could argue in their standpoint, there is some rules, even though I don't agree with them. There is some rules you could argue for GW. That they have a more freedom of right with their, why they can do that, even though I don't think they should, because it will eventually kill the product overall, because you just can't feed infinitely into new things. Eventually you're just going to run out of things to feed into. So what the thing is about that is, even though I do not agree with it, from their perspective, at least in their argument, they have a tabletop game. This doesn't, right? They have to sell models. They have to sell other IPs, other things, and even other games. Devil May Cry is enclosed. It has no models. It has, well, there are models, but you get what I mean. Like, there's no tabletop or prerequisite of some other thing that's kind of somewhat governing it as well. That kind of fights back with it, too. So that's, even though I don't agree with the way GW handles that, that is at least an argument to be had. This doesn't have that argument. Which is why that other game, a version of this universe, didn't succeed. It got hit harder than any Warhammer lore ever will. Because Warhammer lore has some freedom, even if it is dumb with what it does sometimes. I mean, I'm a fan, even though I'm a fan of the Lion, and I like all the stuff they've done mostly with him, so far. I'm also a fan of Slaanesh, as everyone knows, for the Chaos side, or Emperor's Children specifically. And we all know what train wreck that is. So it's like, I'm literally, so if you had to argue, the Lion side of me is Dante. The fricked up, terribly traumatized side of my Warhammer brain is Emperor's Children, which is Virgil.
I won't lose next time. Hold on to that until then.
Even that scene, I'll talk about that. What that means. Because y'all probably don't know what that book is, so I've got to do it. I'm just going to say what it is in a minute. I mean, obviously it has a V on it. You can kind of guess what it might be.
Idiots.
let it continue. We gotta talk about this whole thing. So this whole little end part, which is where another game could take place if they did want to do one more and just have it be the whole family as one final shebang. Because that'd be a good end to the series too. Have Devil May Cry 6 be Nero, Dante, and Virgil all at once now. Just completely all their own segments. Kind of like they did in here with V, but V was fractured. And you get to see the final version of that. Nero fighting the battles on Earth on his side. Virgil and Dante sealing and fighting the battles on the other side. And maybe it all accumulates back to Mundus. It all began.
Ugh. Hooey! I'm still in freaking shock.
About what?
Duh. Your arm? Who the hell grows an arm back? It's just weird. It's like a lizard tail or something.
I mean, there's an argument to be said if they're not really demons, they're definitely reptilian in nature, so that could be true.
Look, I don't know, it just grew. I mean, are you kidding me? Lots of weird stuff happened. There were demons and scary plant roots and arms growing back. Lots of stuff.
Do you know how much love and care I put in that devil breaker?
Nope. This arm?
Alright, now we gotta accept that
It's
Corn
nice.
and Primaris Marines are their favorite. Yeah, I think it is too.
So, how's it feel?
How's what feel?
Saving the man who killed your own father. Heard Dante killed Virgil once.
Yeah, see, that's interesting too. Think about that dynamic. Even though he didn't actually kill him, she's actually wrong on that. He technically didn't. He tried to, but Virgil technically threw himself into the pit. Virgil would have survived that slash Dante did to him. We've seen Dante literally mounted on a wall with a sword through his stomach and chest. If that can't kill you, then trust me, Dante did not do any damage. At least not any real damage. And neither did Virgil to him.
It doesn't matter. They're both gone now anyway.
It's okay to cry.
Also, that's the van, by the way. If you want to know the infamous van I was speaking of earlier that this game would be, or that it would be modeled after, this is this van. Is what I wanted my band to be made after.
If you want, Nero, over a loss.
Not cry.
It doesn't make you a crybaby. It does make you a little bitch, though.
There it is. You think I'm a demon?